Tucker and Maz. Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Another day, another big trade for the Celtics as Brad Stevens continues to cut payroll. Yesterday, he traded Kristaps Porzingis in a second-round draft pick to Atlanta as part of a three-team deal with Brooklyn. In return, the Celtics received Georges Niang in a second-round pick. The NBA draft begins tonight. The Green have the 28th overall selection. And this trade by Brad Stevens was not the only big trade of the day. New Orleans shipped C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and a second-rounder. Kyrie Irving has declined his $43 million player option and agreed to a new 3-year contract with Dallas worth $119 million. The Red Sox losing streak is now 4 after the bullpen blew up again, and they lost to the Angels 3-2 in 11 innings out west. Marcelo Meyer had 3 of the Sox 5 hits on the night and an RBI, but Greg Weissert couldn't hold a 1-0 lead in the 8th, and lefty Justin Wilson couldn't hold a 2-1 lead in the 10th. Richard Fitz will start the 9th and final game of this West Coast road trip late today. Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, and BU legend Jack Parker have all been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And the New England Revolution play Nashville SC at Gillette Stadium tonight. We'll have it at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Nashville, by the way, is unbeaten in their last 9 matches. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
When has that been necessary to fact check?
And Hardy.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
On 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT going up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you, and I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher. And Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fence and having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Otter, maybe? He's very pretty.
I see that beer belly guts. I see all like the fat around his arms. Yes.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Yes.
And hi, guy from the Gay Pride Parade.
Why an otter?
Yes, the many subsets of the gay community. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and watch the show. That's what they want. 617-779-0985. We're in the Town Fair Tires studios. I was sick yesterday. I feel a little bit better today. I feel better today, actually. My parents were in town over the weekend. They left yesterday morning. And the great thing about them being in town is that when I was married and we spent a lot of time at my parents' house, we were there during COVID and stuff, and I would be stressed while we were all at my parents' house. I love my parents. I like where they live. I have fond memories, obviously, of the kids being there and the family being there. I went without them Labor Day of last year. I do enjoy being there now, and my parents are old, and that's of no fault of their own. I'm very fortunate they're still alive. But finally, my kids are at an age where they, to their credit, realize how insanely stressful it is for me when everyone's together. And then you throw in an ex-wife, and no one did anything wrong, but it's like, because they're my parents, and then there's my kids, and then there's, either my wife or ex-wife, depending on when in the relationship it was, and they're all kind of orbiting around me in that situation because my parents only really feel comfortable going through me. My kids only feel really comfortable going through me. And my wife or ex-wife, depending on what time of the relationship with is only feels comfortable going through me. So it's this cipher for all of these complaints. And my parents are old. And, and my dad is extraordinarily opinionated. And opinionated about, so they finally figured out what's going on. So my mother, say my friend has a friend named Stan. My son knows a kid named Stan who plays baseball.
All right.
We'll be sitting around and my father will be babbling about some subject. Say he's talking about
Immigrants.
the moon landing. He's not really like that, but like say he's talking about the moon. He's not like this like hateful racist or anything. He just is very, very Republican. It could be Bush or Nixon or Ford or anybody.
Sure.
It's not. He's not like Trump's not like the guy that he picked. He just is Republican, very, very Republican. Again, when he was in his 20s, he was voting for Nixon. So, he's
a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. So and then my mom will just walk in the room and she'll go, we'll be talking about like the moon landing, say, just a random thing. And my mom will go, so it was Ishan or it was Stan that you played against? Huh? What? First of all, you don't know Stan, and you just heard the name like 3 days ago, and it just popped in your head to come in and ask about it. And this isn't senility. This is the way she's always been. And she'll walk in and she'll go, Stan is the person? And then everyone will go, oh. And I'll go, Mom, you just that was a non sequitur. You just came in and interrupted a conversation by saying, like, I feel like I need to tell her why everyone is just like I do it in, I think, a nice way. But of course, she goes, and then my father, and this is the way he's always has been. Now, he was a total dick when I was a kid about it. But I'll give you an example. My son had a game Monday morning and I was on the air. So he had a game Monday morning and it was this thing where my parents were they had a rental car because they were going to go see my mom's friend, blah, 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 blah. But they were going to go to the game their own because my son wanted to drive himself to the game. It was in Northborough. So the game was at 8:00 in the morning. So I said, yeah, if you're going out to Northborough and you leave at like 6:30, I don't think there'll be a lot of traffic. And my dad is like, yeah, there probably won't be that much traffic going that way, And I'm saying, how the F would you know? Like, why did you just have to say that? Even if you're agreeing with me,
Right.
How the hell would you have to know?
Because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
And if you're just spouting off some of your random nonsense, which is all you spout off, none of it has any validity unless he somehow endorses it.
Yes, a cosign. Yeah.
Okay, so we were in the car and my son was trying to get my dad going. So he goes, Dad, what's going on with Iran? And I said,
He actually went in and did that.
No, he did it on purpose.
Okay.
And so I said, like, Trump's obsessed with Israel, and but the funny thing is that it's some of his base that was, crying for isolationism is upset at him. And my father said, that's not true.
Okay.
And I said, well, it is. Tucker Carlson, for one, is like going crazy. And he goes, Tucker Carlson doesn't mean anything. He's not on Fox. And I go, fine. I go, okay. Like I had a semi-argument with him. We'll turn around on Monday, and I'm reading the New York Times, and they have what happened in the Trump thing. And they said in the article, Trump and his staff were very cognizant of what people were saying about it. They were concerned about what Tucker Carlson was saying. They mentioned Tucker Carlson by name. So I screenshot it and I sent it to my dad
Why did you do that?
to piss him off.
I know, but
And my dad says, "Where's that from?" And I said, "The New York Times." So immediately, like, that doesn't matter. And he goes, "Well, they just say sources. Who are the sources?" So now, because now this is the thing, is that if he doesn't agree with something, it's a lie from faceless people, and the New York Times made it up.
Yeah.
So, he's an impenetrable defenses for any. Because again, he didn't argue with me about politics. He argued with me about media. And it's a fact. Like, there's people, the comedian guy, when the Rogan Sphere, Dave Smith, that's become a big, for some reason, become some big political guy for, I don't know how it happened. He used to be on the Chip Chipperson podcast, his girlfriend. I don't know how he became a guy, but whatever. He's all pissed off at Trump. Like, there's part of his base because Trump ran on isolationism. Remember, he was going to get us all out of all these foreign wars. Biden didn't want us in these wars. But that's not even the point. I just said, and he has. There's a part of his base that he's pissed off. Tucker Carlson, like him or not, and this is a major face of the right wing. Like, he's a major face of it. He is. Enough so that the Trump administration was concerned about what he's saying. First of all, the notion that Trump's not watching the news is preposterous. I mean, everyone knows he does. That's what he does, is he has 6 TVs going on. I mean, these are facts. But all I said was a fact that part of his base in the media has turned against him. I guess of the crazy guy with the school shooting stuff turned against him too. The guy who lost the horrible man that lost the website to the
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Has turned against him. I saw an article because it was about the guys who had turned against him. And my father, and he doesn't just argue. It's like how much of an idiot I am. And it's well, Dad, I'm not lying to you. I'm not William Buckley. I'm not having a debate with you on a Sunday morning on TV. I'm stating a fact. Like, I didn't make it up. I mean, these guys are upset at him. Well, that's not true. Well, yeah, it is. And then it's not that. Then when I say, well, Tucker Carlson, well, that's not enough because Tucker Carlson doesn't matter. Okay, it's just he just with everything, the traffic, everything needs his co-signing, or he either agrees or disagrees. And then my son was having great delight, and he kept trying to bring it back up in later days. But the thing is that I told my dad, I'm like, sometimes, because on the radio it's different because you have to fill the hours and be interesting. But in real life, things can just sit. Statements can be made and can just sit. Maybe, and that's political, I guess, quasi-political. So maybe that's not a good example. But the traffic on a Monday is a good example. Like, if you ask me about the traffic, my mom asked me about the traffic on a Monday, I give her an answer for a city they don't live in, for a city I've lived in for 20 years and been doing I've been doing drive time radio for 20 years. Maybe I know more than you, or don't need your opinion on it.
Have you said those exact words to him?
I did this time because I think I'm at a place where, well, first of all, I felt very vindicated because my kids now get it. Now, they weren't mean, but they understand now and are very, very, very impressed with me for not losing it more. It was a great trip in that regard. My kids are like, wow. Because I also am including my ex-wife in all these some of these activities. So it's finally my kids were like, wow, my dad is a decent man. They felt sympathy for all these years. They see the dynamic between everyone.
I like the fact, though, that your son, having been struck with this realization, still wants to poke the bear a little bit and throw you right back into boiling water.
I think it's more of because he's proud that he figured it out and that he wants to
he sees you going through it and then creates another problem for you because by your own admission, you're the cipher. You're in the middle of everything.
I look at it more of him being on my side and him going, look, I know what I can do and I know that this will start it. And
Okay.
And like I do look at it more of not a tip of the cap to the whole situation.
But then you come back around with he started it once, and then you screenshotted something and sent it back to start something else.
I screenshotted it because I thought it was so funny. I was reading a random article. I wasn't reading it in order to prove anything. And it wasn't even about the media and Trump. It was just about how they came to the conclusion to bomb Iran. And that was just part of the article. And it was so – I don't read the New York Times every day.
No, I get it.
It was just interesting that in the article I happened to be reading, they referenced the very guy – that I was talking about. It's like a lightning strike. Like that. What were the chances?
I know. I totally get it. But you knew by sending that screenshot to your father what his reaction would be.
I don't hate him. Like, I mean, it's not like, yeah, I knew what his reaction would be. It was funny. Like, it's not like that big a deal. It's just annoying. It's not that big a deal. It's just annoying. And it's just a lot. Like, it's a lot. It's, they don't move very well. And, and then my ex-wife wants them around because she like loves them and looks at them as family, and that's kind of strange. And like it just everything is, there's a lot of moving parts, and I don't mind, and I don't want her to feel alienated or that they don't love her. So I want all that happening, but it's like a lot, and it's not an easy thing to go. Do you want to go over to her house because they got to get out of the car and like walk in there? Like it's like. I'm not joking. It's
and my mom is very much the same way, but you have to start like planning your activities and your days based on how much walking there is, what the walking is like, what the ground surface is like.
And that's very true. And that's kind of sad. But like, for instance, we were out to dinner on Monday at 5, which was fine for everyone. Monday at 5, and I was like, okay, I felt terrible. I felt awful. But I had to, it was at 5 o'clock. I was like, I can do this at 5 o'clock. I'm miserable at the table. But I'm like, I can do this. And my ex-wife is like, well, I would like to say goodbye to your parents. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, we got to go to Stephanie's. And we're probably half a mile from Stephanie's. And then it's like, they're like, oh, okay, because we were just going to go back to the hotel. And what they're saying is, like, now we got to go and get out of the car and, like, walk to the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like, so I'm like, I felt bad.
This is the whole thing you're asking us for.
Exactly. Well, yeah, man. My father fell at one of my son's baseball games. Like, he was trying to get on these bleachers. I'm like, we don't have to sit. I'm like, we can sit on the bottom rung. He goes, no. And he tried to, like, lift himself up onto the bleacher, but he's so good at falling now, and I'm not joking. He falls in he doesn't like fall, right? Like, from a great height. He knows he's going to fall, and he falls in slow motion, like real slow motion, like a tumble, and he was bragging that he knows to turn to the side now and fall. And then he fell, and my mom was just like, oh yeah, your dad fell. Like, she's completely not, it's of no concern to her. And so, and it's weird because he's still a man, right? You don't want to be like, oh, my stars, like you fell. Like, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want a big deal to be made of it because he's still a man. I mean, he's, 83 years old, but he's an adult and a grown man. Like, he doesn't want you fussing over him. So you kind of have to handle it like nothing big happened, right. But he still needs help. So it's kind of weird. Like, you can't act like, because that would embarrass him. And he's not hurt. It's just like he's embarrassed because he's, again, he's got to remember that even when your parents are old, they're older than you and they're raised you and they're still human beings and independent human beings. I'm not their parent. Like, they don't want me, babying them and treating them like they're a child. No. So, people have to remember that. They'll be like, because I know I would say he fell and like people go, oh, you a-hole. Like, you had him try to get on these bleachers, like, you piece of garbage. And it's like, well, no, I can't treat him like he's not capable. That would be horrible for him. My mom agreed. You can't, they don't want to be babied. They don't want that. But you have to be cognizant that it takes them a very long time to do things.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, too, they were out in that sun for my son's game on Monday morning. So, like, they were all out of it anyway. And you know, my mom comes into the house, and it's kind of, she's like, I gotta lay down. And she's like, do you have a place I lay down? And I'm like, yeah, the room you stay in.
Get a nice fainting couch for the living room for when your mom comes to town.
I don't. That was at the old house.
You should have said that.
And that's gone, too.
Mom, I bought a piece of furniture just for you. You can faint over there.
No, I just was like, no, there's, you know, the room that you laid down in yesterday. That's the room. Do you think you have a bed I can lay down in? Yeah, the ones you lay down in when you first got here. Ugh. Anyway, and I think it just wears me out. And I think it makes me sick. I think I don't sleep. And it just wears me down. And then my throat starts going on me.
Maybe
and
it's
I
all
gotta
that
get up.
carbonation, too. Good grief. He's sucking that down first thing in the morning.
Can you just let me have my DPs and not get on me, man?
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, perhaps.
Can you just let me have my DPs in peace? You're no better than anyone else.
That's a ZSP you're working on over there.
Yeah, zero shugs. I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to.
With the cream and 2 shugs.
Yeah, I don't really know how to refer to these yet because it's not an OGDP. It's zero shug. All right. Well, there you go. So I'm back, and I slept last night. I went to bed at 9. So we're cooking with gas today.
Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. I am glad I'm feeling better as well. I did not feel good yesterday. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Nobody beats FW Webb for plumbing, heating, HVAC.
show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened, so change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. What's going on, my friend?
Well, Fred, it's summertime. Maybe you noticed yesterday a little warm outside. But with summertime means vacations, not just for school kids, but working folk alike. And when people go on vacation at the Sports Hub, you have other voices that are on the air. And it was one of those voices yesterday that broke some very big Celtics news.
We have a Kristaps Porzingis trade.
Oh, we have
oh, geez. Porzingis. This is going to be a zinger.
We have a Kristaps Porzingis trade. Sham Charania tweeting out moments ago.
More like Sham Charania with this news.
Moments ago, Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick to the Nets, and Georges Niang and a second-rounder to the Celtics.
Yeah, it's a pain in the knee.
Yeah, so Georges Niang and the second-rounder come back to the Celtics as part of this deal that sends a whole bunch of money out of Boston. Kristaps Porzingis. Now, we know what's going on here, and after Drew Holiday was sent to the Trailblazers the day before in exchange for Anthony Simons, for now. This is something we didn't really discuss yesterday, Wallach, but perhaps we can get into that a little bit today, and a couple of second-round picks. Celtics have now saved themselves $180 million in luxury taxes because their payroll, as we know, was going to be over $500 million next year. So with Drew Holiday gone, with Kristaps Porzingis gone, they're now back down to that first apron. And
they're $4 million under the second apron as we sit here this morning.
There you go. Now, the one thing we didn't really discuss much yesterday was the fact that maybe, just maybe, Anthony Simons could be part of another deal going forward. Have you heard anything about this, Wallach?
I have not heard them flipping him just yet, although the NBA draft is tonight, so the day is still young.
And we've fallen prey to this before, where, you know, a deal is made before a deadline. You start talking about what this player means on this team, and all of a sudden, oh, they never intended on keeping him. That was all part of a preemptive move before the draft.
But as we sit here, you just traded away 3 starters. As we sit here, you are without Jason Tatum. You're now without Drew Holiday, and you're without Kristaps Porzingis. Somebody's got to start for this team. I mean, I don't know who the forwards are at the moment. You don't have Luke Cornett, who's a free agent. You don't have Al Horford, who's a free agent. You just traded Kristaps Porzingis. Right now, Anthony Simons would start for you.
Yeah.
So it's either him or Peyton Pritchard.
Well, what about Georges Niang? I mean, there was some accolades being thrown his way yesterday by someone, not an unfamiliar voice. This is a voice we all know.
You said George Niang?
Georges Niang. Is that correct, Jimmy? It's Georges?
Sure.
Georges Niang.
Yeah.
Probably a local guy.
So, anyway, 617-779-0985.
Not a lot of it on Georges Niang in the immediate aftermath.
It's called buying time.
And by the way, none from me right now. You got anything on Georges Niang, Wallach?
I believe he is a local guy, but I do have something on him if you want to hear it.
Because I got nothing.
Georges Niang is a bench player that's bounced around a lot in a 5 or 10 year NBA career. He's a very good three-point shooter, but like Simons, not exactly great defensively. So they've given
up bad wingspan.
Given up a lot of. He has what we call a low center of gravity. He's about 6'7", 240, 235. Not exactly fleet of foot, but an excellent shooter if you give him an open 3.
I heard Brian Robb saying that they're certainly not done. And on a minor side, it would be Luke Cornett because they have to move more money.
Yeah.
It could be Luke Cornett, or it could be Jalen Brown. He is not. He's saying that is still on the table.
I think Hauser is still on the table.
Well, that'll be the next move. Again, the Celtics only being $4 million under the second, luxury cap threshold doesn't do them anything. They still have to sign whatever draft picks they take. They still have to sign either Luke Cornett or Al Horford. I mean, there's money that's still going to come in, so you got to give yourself more room. And Hauser's going to
Hauser rather, not Cornett. Yeah,
Hauser's going to make $10 million a season starting this coming year. It's a new 4-year contract extension. So I think Hauser's the next guy out. But even then,
and by the way, this is the thing, because I was discussing this with somebody who's not much of an NBA person, and they said, well, how does that clear any money? Guys like Sam Hauser, I said, you have no idea how much these players make. These guys who, and Hauser was more than a contributor last year. I mean, he, was an actual player for the team, especially when, they were dealt with some injuries or illnesses and stuff like that. I get it. But just on his surface, and when you think about Sam Hauser and the Celtics, you don't think of him as being a $10 million a year basketball player on any team, much less this team.
If you want to get into it, I can't. But because I don't understand it completely. But they've gotten themselves, it doesn't get them under the apron, but they've gotten themselves these exemptions. So because of these trades, they can sign players. They can sign players, but
aggregate
they can't
salary.
But it's like trade exception.
That's what gets them. That's what getting under the second apron does for you.
It gives you also. That's not what I'm saying, though. There's these trade exemptions that when you've traded this kind of salary or something, you're allowed to bring in like a certain amount of money that doesn't count against things like, maybe that is like a stipulation of getting
trade
under
exception. You're allowed once you get under the second.
Okay,
cap
very
apron.
good. All right, so that's what we're on the same page.
Yes.
So yes, they could sign new guys, but not keep like guys. It's kind of weird. Like the math of it is all very strange. But suffice it to say, they could make a move this offseason, I think add like $15 million or something like that. But they would still have to cut money to get. John's right, to sign their draft picks and all this stuff. But there are ways they could sign a free agent without being penalized. The NBA stuff. It's all like, and when I hear it described, the people, to their credit, admit it. They don't really understand it, but there's
so much.
Yeah. It's not something for sports talk radio. Basically,
No,
it's like they could. It's easier for them to sign someone else, in my understanding, than it would be to keep someone.
Right, but at the same time, they still have to clear out more room.
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't end here. They have to do a lot.
That's
more.
what I'm saying is that they still have to cut players.
Yeah.
But that being said, they can sign players because it's easier than keeping players or something like that.
And the other part of it is because you just traded for a guy like Georges Niang, you just traded for Hauser's replacement. Hauser isn't a great defensive player, but he's a very good three-point shooter. He's gotten better over the years. We were talking about, can a bad defensive player get better? Hauser is a good example of that. He was not a good defensive player, but he got to mediocre last season. So Niang is that kind of guy. He's about the same size. He's heavier, but about the same
What's
height
his
as
first
Hauser.
name?
Georges.
By George, I don't think they got it.
Yeah.
In Niang.
By the way, I heard Joe and Skaz talking about this last night. They brought up the ability for the Celtics now to do the whole salary aggregate thing, which is it's another penalty of being above that second apron, where you can't combine different players' salaries in order to match trades and do stuff. I'm like, and to their credit, they had a little understanding of it, but they didn't try and explain it. They're like, yeah, whatever. It's good. It's good that they got to this point because it frees them up to do these things with salaries.
I think that's what it goes along those same lines, is that they've created some ways to maneuver now because they allow you to build a team because they understand once you give up that kind of salary, you do have to have a team.
Yeah.
So they give you ways that you can acquire players.
They are, but the thing is, if you look at this roster, they're without forwards. Now that Tatum's not there and they don't have Porzingis.
Well, they don't have a big man. They don't have a forward. So the thing is that I would trade Brown. I still would, because they're not winning anything next year. I heard someone say there'd be a 50-win team. I don't think that's true.
No. I think as constituted right now, if they bring back, my bet would be they'd sign either Horford or Cornette and draft a center tonight to back him up. That would be the cheapest way to do it. I think in the East, which is now really wide open, I think the Celtics could be a 5 or a 4 with everyone healthy and Jaylen Brown playing well and Derek White and this kid Simon scoring. I think they, in a weak Eastern Conference, they might battle for home court in the first round. That's what I think the Celtics are capable of.
So you think White being a 2 and then not being deep, they could still do that?
That's how weak I think. In a normal year, no. But the way the East is right now, yes. You have Cleveland as a clear number 1, but after that, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen.
There was another move yesterday in the NBA. I did not know that Kyrie Irving was going to do this. He declined his $43 million player option with the intention of signing a 3-year, $119 million contract. I did not know that they were getting ready to do this. I thought he was just going to exercise the 1 year.
What this does for Dallas, and I didn't know this until I read it last night, it gets them onto the second apron.
Right. This was I guess the options were they were going to delay the deadline for the extension, or they were going to do what they just did.
All right.
So now he makes less money per year, and that helps Dallas out.
Right. By a few million. He's got a player option in the 27-28 season as a part of this. So, all right, it gives them a little more flexibility. Or someone emailed in yesterday, Fred, asking about the use of the word optionality. And if this is a new thing, and could we all make an effort to not make it a thing?
Okay.
Much like when efforting became the new trying.
Yes.
And it doesn't give you flexibility. It gives you optionality. And I'd be on board with nipping that one in the bud.
Amen.
I don't want to walk around saying optionality. So we're going to be talking a little bit later with Kevin O'Connor about the NBA draft and getting into all things NBA and the Celtics specifically. But that was the news yesterday, as Kristaps Porzingis gone. And in return, more picks. We got a whole bunch of second-rounders now coming up here over the next couple of years.
Well,
that's great.
But not until the best thing is not until 2030 or 2021.
Well, that's when you need
all the
that
trades
2030 and 2031
this year.
is projecting to be a deep draft.
Yeah, I mean that's like the class of
some ninth grade kid. They're scouting the ninth graders.
Yeah,
I
mean absolutely, you have to. I bet you could find on like rankings 24/7 or whatever. I bet you could find a list of eighth grade kids. I bet you any money you can.
I remember that Sports Illustrated a long time ago where they had a list of the top 12th grade, the top 11th grade. I think Kenny Anderson was in ninth grade at the time. They took pictures of all these kids. It said, these are the next kids. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there's someone out there doing that.
Doesn't F up those kids at all.
No, and they always end up being stars. I remember Felipe Lopez, the kid that was on this cover of Sports Illustrated when he was in high school.
How about this for a name? Damon Bailey, Indiana.
Yeah.
He was in eighth grade at the time. Bobby Knight recruited him based off that cover. And he grew up in Indiana. He went to Indiana to play for Bobby Knight. And you know what happened to him? He disappeared.
Yes,
very quickly.
It's like Larry Bird's brother. Tragic story. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics traded Drew Holiday 2 days ago. They traded Kristaps Porzingis last night. He was sent to Atlanta along with a second-round pick as part of a 3-team trade with Brooklyn. In return, they got back Georges Niang and a second-round selection. As of right now, the Celtics will pick 28th in tonight's first round of the NBA draft. Kyrie Irving yesterday declined his player option. He agreed to sign a new 3-year, $119 million contract with Dallas. Red Sox lost again, this time 3-2 in 10 innings to the Angels. Garrett Crochet, 7 shutout innings. He wound up with a no decision. Red Sox have lost 4 in a row. They'll play the Angels one final time this afternoon, and it'll be the New England Revolution against Nashville SC at Gillette Stadium tonight. Kickoff at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, 24-hour on-call service for your clog drain emergencies. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what else is going on?
Well, the Red Sox are in the midst of a bitter West Coast road trip. They actually, won their series in Seattle. Unfortunately, dropped a couple there against San Francisco. And now they're bringing their best to Los Angeles, the city of angels. Tough loss in Game 1, 9-5. Last night, they were doing a little bit better, especially early on with Mr. Marcelo Meyer.
And that's a fair ball down the line. That's going to keep on rolling. That'll kick back to the deeper fence. He's going to round second on his way to third. He's in there standing with a triple.
Ooh, stand-up triple. Early on, Meyer would go on to score, and it was 1-0 Red Sox all the way until the 8th inning last night.
There's a fly ball to left, hit pretty well toward the corner. The rookie has tied it. Christian Moore with his second home run.
Boy, you gotta love this kid.
Uh-oh. Well, second
Why,
home.
was he doing the good ship lollipop or something?
Second home run.
Why do I got to love him?
Second home run of the game? No, second home
He
run
win any
ever.
pageants?
That made it 1-1 last night, and they would go to extras. Top of the 10th.
E-I-E-I. Oh.
With the man on base once again for Marcelo Meyer.
Third baseman Rengifo is in against a bunt. No bunt here, but a base hit into right center. Here comes the run, and the Red Sox have the lead back. And the kid strikes. Myers had a big night, his third hit.
How about that after the triple early on?
Started him against a lefty, played second base for the first
go,
time
kid.
as a pro. Go, go, go. 2-1.
Everything's looking good.
They're winning.
Yeah, and they're winning. They're up 2-1. Let's just, let's get 3 here in the bottom of the 10th. Let's all celebrate a victory in Los Angeles.
And he hits it hard out to right center field, pretty deep. Rafael is back. It's over his head. It's off the wall. It might be a home run. Moore's racing on his way to third. The game is tied at least as Moore has a triple, and I think he's won it. Save it back to the Red Sox. It's a home run.
Sebo says, see you later. That is
Yeah. Good stuff.
See you later.
Seymour. Yeah. His first name starts with a C. Moore is his last name. Seymour later.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Well,
It's insane. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, he hit a quasi home run.
Yeah.
They weren't sure if it was a home run.
He
for
hit it right there
2
at the
minutes.
top of the fence.
How about that?
You would and all the way into left field. I mean, he got in the first row of the left field stands.
Gotta love this kid.
Yeah, you do. He's hitting 194. You gotta love him.
Yeah.
He's the best. That was his second home run too. So he's 2 home runs. He's hitting 194. You gotta love him.
Both home runs in the same game.
Yeah.
First 2 home runs.
See you later.
Yeah.
Trevor's story after the game.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has 3 home runs for the season. I
okay.
apologize.
Okay.
He had 1
don't
going
say-
into last night.
Don't sell him short. Trevor's story after the game. You guys are giving up, right?
I think we've played better as of recently, that's for sure.
Well, that's not true.
Wait, that's not true at all. That's their 4th straight loss, Trevor.
Point of order, Your Honor.
I don't think that's right.
I think we've played better as of recently, that's for sure, minus the last 2 series. But we're going to stay positive about it. We're not going to give up. I know that. We know the type of team we have. I feel good about us showing that in the second half.
Real juggernaut.
Well, so if you look at the trade deadline, which isn't a ways away, it's still for a long time, but you wouldn't know that by what the Red Sox have been doing. But there's lists that a bunch of people are putting up now online of players, and it's players that could be moved. It's not Soto or Judge. These are players that could be moved. The list is Duran, Bregman, Chapman. These are all guys. So I mean, if you're Craig Breslow, you got to be salivating because this is going to be a big deadline. I mean, you can move Bregman, you can move Duran, you can move Chapman, you can get everyone out of here.
Hey, you can get more minor league guys. You can get tons of minor league guys.
What it does, John, is it frees you up for this offseason. Well, by the way, look at the list of free agents this offseason, and your head will explode. It's a real who's who. There's the days of Soto being available are over. And then look at the free agents for the season after. And there's nobody there's no game-changing like superstar, to my knowledge, even with the possibility of coming up.
Why
in the next
would
2
you
years.
get a game-changing bat? Your offense is spectacular right now. 4 runs or less in 10 of your last 13 games.
Well, if I'm them, I'm certainly not giving up anything for a prospect. The season's over. One bat's not changing this thing. It's over. They can't score with this. And so what, are you going to give up a bunch of your future for a bat to maybe get you into the third wild card with an expiring contract?
Yeah. Garrett Crochet, 7 shutout innings, struck out 10, dominant last night, no decision.
Yeah.
Because the bullpen, which has been atrocious the last 2 or 3 nights, Aroldis Chapman has been good, but just about everyone else has had a hand in pitching poorly. They've lost 4 in a row. They're not good. They've never been good.
And if I'm a free agent, why would I ever go to the Red Sox unless they blow me out of the water with money? So I have to deal with the media, not win, and be miserable.
That's what has happened now, and what has happened with the Patriots. In order to get a free agent here, you have to pay the I'm terrible tax.
You didn't with Bregman, but those days are over.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying Alex Bregman $40 million this year. That's a lot for Alex Bregman, who did not have a good season.
Well, he turned down
last
a
year.
better offer, is all I'm saying.
I know. He could have gone to Detroit and didn't. But at the same time, the Red Sox offered him 3 years on $120 million with a pair of opt-outs. You know, $40 million a year is $40 million a year. And that's what the Red Sox had to do to get him. So you're going to see that again. You're going to have to. Even though John Henry does not like spending money, now he has to, if indeed he wants to build a winning ball club and bring in someone from the outside.
You can get Albert Amora, Trey Mancini, Garrett Cooper.
Oh, they had Garrett Cooper.
Gotta love this kid.
I love Garrett Cooper.
They had him for 2 weeks at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, Sean Newcomb.
Oh, yeah, they just let him go. They had Sean Newcomb. They just let him go.
Oh, Newcomb. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get all these guys.
Newcomb, why? What'd they do to you?
Yeah.
One more note.
I've heard it all before.
One more bit of news to get to here. The sale of the Minnesota Timberwolves, not the $10 billion price tag that the Lakers commanded, $1.5 billion. That was approved by the NBA yesterday. One little sweetener in the deal. The deal includes the WNBA four-time champion Minnesota Lynx.
Thank God.
So the Glenn Taylor and his investment group that includes Alex Rodriguez not only got themselves an NBA team, but they were also forced to they also got the Minnesota Lynx in the deal.
And then in 2027, there's a bunch of really big names too. You could get Chris Sale back.
Oh yeah.
You could get him at the age of
40.
Yeah, he'll be 40.
Something like that.
Or is it 30? Will he be 38 or 40? I don't know.
I think he's going to be. I was exaggerating. I think he's going to be 38.
Yeah,
By the way,
38.2.
He's hurt again. You see that?
Yeah, he throws weird. He's going to get hurt.
No, this one is a fractured rib cage out of nowhere.
I don't know. He did it probably by throwing across his body. He's got a terrible delivery. I mean, now look, it just made him a lot of money.
Won the Cy Young last year.
I'm aware of that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you
really
for
good.
throwing in random facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the free agents for next season and this season. You could get yourself Salvador Perez. You bring him in at 37 years old. Mm-hmm. It's I'm giving you the biggest names too. I'm going by the current salary or the market value that they're saying. You go get Skubal because he's going to be up. The Tigers will let him go.
No way. The Tigers will re-sign him. No chance. You
could re-sign Alex Bregman, but he has a player option for that. Pete Alonso will be available. He'll be 32. So look, congratulations. You've freed up all this money to do all these wonderful things. And when you trade Duran and all these...
You keep him for 2 years and you trade him away for a new ground tarp and just get rid of him.
Yeah.
The thing is, if the Cubs let Kyle Tucker go, which they probably will, you could get him in free agency. So, I mean, the Cubs have no reason to re-sign him, though they probably won't get that done by free agency.
No.
This is just a disaster, An absolute disaster.
It's the Red Sox looking and saying, you know what, we're going to promote as many minor league guys as we can, sign them to it, try and get them to sign cheap contracts, and that's the way we'll do payroll. That's what we're doing. You know, they got 4 of their guys signed now to 6-year contracts for almost nothing, relatively speaking. This is just the beginning.
Well, it would be nice if you got prospects back for the great players that you're trading away. That would be good for that modus operandi, but they're not doing that either. All right, we'll be back with Bert Breer in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy.
draft is tonight. At the moment, the Celtics have picks 28 and 32 overall. The Washington Wizards have traded Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey to New Orleans for C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. Kyrie Irving yesterday declined his $43 million player option with Dallas. This is in favor of a new 3-year, $119 million contract with the team. As for the Red Sox, the news remains bad.
And he hits an arc out to right center field pretty deep. Rafael is back. It's over his head. It's off the wall. It might be a home run. Moore's racing on his way to third. The game is tied at least as Moore has a triple, and I think he's won it. Save the night to the Red Sox. It's a home run.
As for the Red Sox, that is Angels top prospect Christian Moore. He had a 2-run homer off lefty Justin Wilson in the bottom of the 10th inning. That handed the Red Sox their 4th straight loss, 3-2 last night. Richard Fitz starts against the Angels on getaway day this afternoon. Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, and BU coaching legend Jack Parker were all elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And the New England Revolution host Nashville SC tonight. We'll have it at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Albrecht Auto Group, Zoe's Auto Dealer. Purchase any new vehicle from one of their 8 dealerships and get the Albrecht Advantage, a 10-year, 150,000-mile limited powertrain warranty backed by Allstate Insurance. Connect with Albrecht at albrechtauto.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
When breaking sports news happens in Boston,
News this morning, Marco Sturm,
it happens here.
former Bruin, now current Bruins head coach. The hiring made official today.
Boston's home for breaking sports news and your flagship station for the Boston Bruins all year long. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Toucher and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Bert Breer is running late, which is entirely unlike him. He's usually here lickety-split. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube to get all the content from all the shows. Joe's live at night. And highlights of all the shows. Alex Barth, all those guys are up there. Pat McAfee basically made his money, in my opinion, by having Aaron Rodgers as a guest. Aaron Rodgers, he was smart. He paid him $1 million to come on the show. And he ended up going viral every time he was on because he just let Aaron Rodgers talk, and Aaron Rodgers loves to talk, and he is an expert on everything under the sun in his mind, and there you go. So yesterday they had Aaron Rodgers on, and Aaron Rodgers says he's most likely going to retire at the end of the season. But that's not the story. The story is the Dan Rather-esque way that Mr. Cronkite over here, Mullets McGee, on he's got a fun mullet and a mustache. He's a real fun kid. He is very ironic. He looks like he was in Heavy Metal Parking Lot in 1982, which is funny. Remember Mullets Galore from like 2001, that website?
That website ruled.
It was the greatest. But it's funner. It's more fun 24 years later. So here we go. It's the ultra hip and now show, the Pat McAfee show. Here's how you ask a guy. And now I'm warning you, I'm going to interrupt it a lot because it's 1 minute and 27 seconds long. Here is the question that led to the answer, I'm probably going to retire. Now, the answer was, I'm probably going to retire. Not shocking. I mean, he's in his 40s. He sucked very badly last year. The year before that, he was hurt. So here is how you get to the point that Aaron Rodgers might retire, probably will retire at the end of the season.
Yeah, Aaron, great to see you. Great catching up.
Yeah, there you go. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy. He's already been on the show. Good to see you, though.
Yeah, Aaron, great to see you. Great catching up. It feels as though since you signed with the Steelers, it's been, I won't say more candid, but it does feel as though there's been a different vibe from you. Is it, safe to say that this is your last year playing as someone who, wants...
Why didn't you say, is it fair to say that this is your last year playing? That's still a 20-second question, but, no, there's a minute left.
Is it, safe to say that this is your last year playing? As someone who, wants to savor everything, I would like to know when it is your last year, just because every time you're running through that tunnel, it'd be incredible just to say, like.
Okay, so that might be it, because he wants to savor. Aaron, could you please let us know? Because I'd like to savor every moment.
Every time you run through the tunnel.
I want to live in the present. I need to see you. So I have that. That can be my last thought before I leave this mortal plane, is that I remember in 2025 when every time, the 17 times you ran out that tunnel. If
you don't even have
hurt.
to play. I just want to see you running with your shirt on. You can carry your helmet in your hand.
Just like you did for the first Jets game when you carried the flag and then got hurt 4 plays later because you wouldn't move. By the way, I guarantee Aaron Rodgers ain't playing an 18th game. That I can assure you. Aaron Rodgers at most 17 games next season. There's an over-under on it. Hammer the under 18.
Everything. I would like to know when it is your last year, just because every time you're running through that tunnel, it'd be incredible just to say, like, hey, let's make sure we really appreciate what's going on here. Is that something you've thought about? Is that something that you know for sure? Or are you also just kind of taking it week by week, seeing how your body's feeling and seeing how the mind feels as you go throughout the season?
Wow.
Could have just said, hey, Aaron, are you retiring at the end of this season?
I would like to know.
I would like to know.
Every time you're running through that tunnel.
Now, this is a question I'd like to know the answer to, as opposed to most that are just flipping ways to fill time.
Wants to savor everything.
Aaron, if you were here, I could just put you in my mouth, but I'm not. You're not. Since you're on Zoom, you can't see it, but I'm stroking myself right now at the idea of this.
Different, vibe from you?
I can't tell you how much. I don't watch it, so it's almost unfair. But even in the clips, and it's weird clip, too, because A.J. Hawk's not interrupting it. Because usually he's in there,
yeah. And McAfee can't get a word in edgewise with a Hawk running his mouth the entire show.
But you know what I like about them is that sometimes they're smoking cigars.
Oh,
yeah. Wants to savor everything.
That's like when you get like the head of the FBI on Joe Rogan and he lights up a stogie, so you know that this is a comfortable sit down. This ain't some grill sesh.
The cigar smoke is the key indicator.
We're just bros having some cigar.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Great catching up.
Enjoying a stogie. What are you doing to that show? I gotta smoke a stogie. Get in the mood. I hate it. I hate it. It's like when we as men get older, we have to go like, now we're just going to die, so we might as well just start smoking cigars because this is all we have left. It's smoke you don't inhale.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Pretty much.
I like cigars because they're just like cigarettes, except you don't get to inhale them. Were you ever a cigar guy, Hardy? You're a big smoker.
I tried. Yeah, I tried.
So did I. And you know what I would end up doing? I'd go to a cigar bar and I'd end up buying a pack of cigarettes so I could smoke. Not hold smoke in my mouth and blow it out.
Yeah.
Take a cigar right from Cuba Cuba. Just bite it for the look.
He doesn't light it.
He doesn't light it.
No, I don't know need.
For 30 minutes. Yeah, now I gotta take care of this thing like a baby bird.
30 minutes. You ever play golf with someone with a cigar? It's in there for all 18 holes. It ain't going anywhere.
I always enjoyed hi guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Bert.
I always enjoyed the old Southern guy who chews on the unlit cigar.
See, that's at least cool. I do like
I think
that.
that's like a Bobby Bowden thing, if I remember right.
I like that because it's an oral fixation, and you're still getting the tobacco out of it. That I appreciate more. I don't like, and if you smoke cigars, that's great. I just don't like during interviews or when people are doing the show lighting up a stogie. I can't tell you how much I hate it when I see a clip from Joe Rogan and the two bros are just sitting there smoking cigars. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're not tied down to corporate media. We're having stogies. Ugh. It'd be great if they just smoke crack. That is a podcast.
Be quite the reveal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just pull it out of your pocket.
Did you ever see, I'm really off on a tangent, but I wasn't on yesterday, so I don't think I talked to enough people, so I have to talk. But do you ever see a Johnny Carson and like he'd guffaw? So they would have to put the camera on him, but he didn't know the camera was going to be on him, and he's leaning over smoking.
Yes.
It was when you still
the
couldn't...
old, like, early 70s with the wild patterns everywhere.
Well,
yes,
there was a
that.
time where he could smoke.
Right.
But then there was a time he wasn't supposed to be smoking on the air, but it was too much for him to go an hour without smoking.
Rickles would be going nuts, and then he'd guffaw at something Rickles said, but then he'd see him quickly tap the ashes
There's
out.
a great Steve Martin bit where he calls his answering machine. It's like when Martin's really young, and he calls his answering machine and it's playing, and then there's this joke where these women are saying he's impotent, and then finally a guy says that he's impotent, basically. It's funnier than this. And then you see, they pan to Carson because he's dying, but he's leaning over and smoke's coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
All right, so you just heard the question. Here's the answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Yeah.
Oh, that affected way of talking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Doesn't that bother you, Bert, when he talks? Aaron Rodgers?
Like
just
how
his
he
tone?
talks?
Yes, it bothers me. It's this laid back, like...
do you think it's condescending?
Yes, and I
Very
think it's
much so.
completely unnatural, and I think it's affected. I think it's an affectation. I don't like when people talk with affectation.
He's not doing it intentionally anymore. That's just it was at one point he was doing it intentionally when discussing his political views on life. Now I think he doesn't even notice he's doing it.
I agree, because it's like when Madonna was married to Guy Ritchie, and she developed the British accent at 42.
Yep.
Yeah.
From living in London, she started talking with a British
Guy
accent.
Ritchie, yep.
There is it does sound California though. I mean, it does sound like which is where he's from.
No,
you don't think so?
Nope. California's an accent, and you could play. Adam could find a million guys from Southern California. They all have an accent. There's a Southern California accent. I know he's not from Southern California, but the accent from California is a specific accent, like a Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. There's accents. It's a regional accent. The laid back way of speaking is not.
So you think he's trying to sound wise, is what I think you're getting at, right?
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
He's trying to sound world weary.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's even better. World weary and wise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a 1-year deal. Steelers didn't need to, put any extra years on that or anything. So, this was really about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I mean, I played 20 freaking years. It's been a long run, and I've enjoyed it. And what better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL?
Which you chose. It was your first choice. That's where you desperately wanted to go. What a nice bookend, playing where you don't want to play.
With Mike Tomlin and a great group of leadership and great guys in the city that, expects you to win.
That's the best.
Congratulations, man.
Hell yeah.
That's a tough decision to get to. That is a tough decision to get to.
That's the best. He wound up things are happening to him like happened to all old quarterbacks before him. Joe Namath finished with the Rams. Joe Montana. I don't think Joe Montana had some great wish to go to Kansas City.
But at least he won there.
Yeah, no, but the point is...
I mean, Favre didn't want to go to the Jets. That was clear.
The same thing is happening to Rodgers. He's being bounced around by quarterback needy teams that want to squeeze one last drop of talent out of him.
Why are they clapping?
I mean, I would say
they're douchebags.
It was weird. That kind of had
Congratulations.
That kind of had like the SEC press conference, like introducing the head coach. Feel. You know what I mean? Like, well, the boosters,
when the
boosters outnumber the reporters in the room.
Well, the Oxford media, I would imagine, are boosters. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the Pat McAfee show because I think it's like Steve Buscemi with the skateboard at the high school. Hey, teens.
Hello, fellow kids.
Like, hey, guys, like, we're cool. No. This is decidedly uncool. Like, none of this is cool.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. This isn't, he's speaking to the youth. I don't think so. I don't think this is like trending in the way of Pat McAfee, the world. I don't think this is the new underground scene that's going to be popular culture in 3 years. This doesn't strike me as subversive, cutting edge stuff. And it's sold that way. Like he's speaking. No, he's just a stupid a-hole who's not funny, who does a wrestling shtick. I don't like it. Are you jealous of him? I'm very jealous that he incorporated himself and made that kind of money. Absolutely. He's a tremendous businessman. He's a terrible, terrible host, though. But do you think there's a way that Aaron Rodgers comes back? I would imagine that he enjoys speaking.
In 26, you mean?
Yeah. He certainly enjoys talking.
Probably not. Like, I think he's misleading people and saying, like, that this isn't about fixing any wrongs. Like, I don't think he wanted to go out the way he went out with the Jets. And, I think, he probably looks at some of the other great quarterbacks. And, look, like, the crazy thing is, Fred, I think I said this to you when he got traded to the Jets. Generally, it's worked. Generally, when, like, these legendary older quarterbacks have gone to their places, it hasn't worked every time, but like Favre didn't work with the Jets, but he worked with the Vikings. Brady worked with the Bucs. Manning worked with the Broncos.
Montana did work with Kansas City.
Montana got Kansas City to an AFC title game, which I believe was the last conference title game they had gotten to until Mahomes got
93?
there. Yeah. So like it was like the high point for them when Schottenheimer was the coach and all of that.
And you can't. Namath couldn't walk, so I mean, he literally couldn't move. So like the Rams, I think, just got him to get Namath.
No, but I mean,
and
Rodgers is so high and mighty. The same thing happened to him as an old quarterback that happened to all these old quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
There was always one more team that wanted him, and you're right. In a lot of cases, it did work, but in some cases, it didn't.
I think Aaron Rodgers.
Both those cases happen to have been with the Jets.
I think Aaron Rodgers is something that exists at the level it does because of football media drilling into you. He's awesome, even though he's not winning. I do think that is the case.
I think he does spectacular things that are perfect for this generation because you can boil them down into a 5-minute YouTube highlight. And you even last year, like he makes some throws that were like, holy crap.
Right. He's
like, how'd he get the ball there?
His arm talent is unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there's that part of it where, to me, like I look at it like, so he wins the Super Bowl in 2010. And I remember being on the field with his family at the end of that game. And, I said to one of his brothers or his dad, Brett Favre never did this, never won Super Bowl MVP. And they were like, oh my God, and he was 26 at the time. It was like all of this was in front of him. Like it was, this guy's going to win multiple Super Bowls. The Packers are going to be good for a long, long time. And then if you remember the next year, he might've put together like a 12-game stretch that was as high a level as a quarterback has ever played at. They were, I think, 13-0, 14-0, and they looked unstoppable. And then they lost the Giants, and the Giants wind up beating the Patriots that year. They lost to the Giants. It was the lockout year, I believe. And they lost to the Giants in the divisional round. And ever since then, it just felt like that like rocket ship he was on flattened out. And it never really, it was always just, yeah, he's really, really, really good. But like, I think we were always kind of wondering, like, is he going to have that one transcendent year? And again, he was great. He did a ton of great things. He won 4 MVPs. But like, I think that trajectory we all thought he was on in like 10 and 11 never really played out.
He's Drew Brees. I mean, the thing is that even though he's better than Drew Brees, and I know the Saints.
Brees is really good too, though.
Yeah, and I know the Saints had to like make their team in a certain offense in a certain way to like because of his limitations, height wise and everything. But you're living in an era of Brady and Manning and Mahomes, and I don't think any of them were insisted upon.
How would you compare him to Elway?
Oh, I think Elway's better, way better.
I don't know about
not in terms of like, again, in YouTube highlights, probably the same. But in terms,
Elway was like that.
In terms of Elway, but Elway went to a lot of Super Bowls when the AFC was horrible.
Right.
And look, in those Super Bowls, he couldn't compete against the NFC, but that was just the way football was.
Mm-hmm.
Elway got that team to the Super Bowl.
He dragged those Broncos teams to the Super Bowl.
Yes, he even in those AFC Championship games against Cleveland, like. Elway did. It was Elway that did all of that.
Right.
I think Elway was a much better. Look,
I just think
Aaron Rodgers is great. I don't like how he's talked about, like that he's this transcendent player that is one of the greats.
The reason
of all
I brought
time.
up like 10 and 11 is because I think we put him on that pedestal, and then we like hung on to that.
Sure,
and I do think that to some degree, one thing like that I think he was successfully able to do was, for one reason or another, and I don't know why, it's kind of an interesting thing though. It does feel like his failures were never pinned on him. It was McCarthy, or it was the offensive coaching staff, or it was they haven't drafted a receiver since 2002 in the first round. It was always something, And I think he's a great, great player. But if you're him, how do you answer that? Well, you answer that by going and winning somewhere else. And he wasn't able to do it with the Jets. So now can he do it with the Steelers?
Or how about this, Bert? The franchise falls apart when you're gone.
Right, and that didn't happen.
And it didn't happen at all. That's good. All right, we'll be back. Well, thank you, Jonathan.
They were a game better the year after he left.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not good anymore. Telling you. Yeah, his arm talent is still really is cool.
He's still, again,
he can whip it across his body and everything else.
The way he makes throws without having to put his body into it at all, where he like is standing still and just flicks his wrist, and it.
Oh, it's exciting.
I've never seen anything. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who can do what he does that way.
It's very exciting, his arm talent.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his brain is mush and he can't move. Why is his brain mush, Fred? I don't know. He stands back in the shotgun and lets the play clock run out. Once, twice, 3 times. Just sat there. Nothing's happening.
Hey, savor it.
He's you got to savor it coming out.
Right.
These pricks.
Congratulations, man.
And God help you when he's not on the show anymore. All right, you'll be calling Rusty Rhodes into the ring. All right, Dusty Rhodes. Sorry, we'll be back in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way.
Charles Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We have Bert Breer from MMQB in studio with us. Are you going to Nantucket or something?
Yeah, on Friday, and then I'm gonna fly to New Jersey for a lacrosse tournament right after I get there. So that's great.
No, don't complain. I'm in Hoover, Alabama next week.
Yeah,
I leave Saturday for Hoover, Alabama.
that's a long trip for you too, isn't it? Like you're there for a while.
I'm there from Saturday until Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty. Hoover's a suburb of Birmingham, right?
Yeah, apparently there was a reality show tape there about the football
that's how I
program.
know.
MTV, baby.
What was it? 2-a-days, I think? Was that what it was called?
I've never heard of it, but I have a friend that lived there for a year or went to University of Alabama and then was familiar with Hoover, Alabama. The reason he went to
Chad Jackson's high school.
Remember
Chad Jackson?
Yes, I do.
One of the many busts of the Belichick era, yes.
Yeah, apparently they have like a 19,000, 25,000 seat
Yeah.
situation
They share, I believe they share their high school football stadium with the minor league baseball team in town.
Ah.
I think that's what it was. It was something like that.
Okay. And so, I will be
So
there.
I'm assuming they'll have nice baseball facilities.
It's where the SEC championship is held.
Oh,
and
okay.
so I it's like a complex. But the thing is that's great is my son pitches and he's supposed to start on Tuesday and I fly down on Saturday, so there will be Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
So you get to watch somebody else's kids for a few days.
Well, that's what everything is. And then he'll come in and then it's very fun to see him pitch and there's like a million scouts there and it's fun. And he's been doing great, but and then
does
it's
he know
over.
any of the other kids, or is this like just going in blind?
Everything we're getting really into the weeds with him,
Yeah.
but everything with him is because of the way that things have been going. Everything is being thrown at him. So like school was thrown at him, and then in the middle of the year, and then now this team has been thrown at him 3 weeks ago. So like he's handling it very well, but yeah, he knows one kid. Like it's not. He's handling it well. If it was me, I would have hated it.
It's a meat market, like one of those tournaments where it's just they're going down there to get recruited.
Yeah, I mean, they end up having fun. They have fun. I'm just concerned about myself, not him. Like, they have fun, but we're not staying at the team hotel because he got put on this team like 2 weeks ago. So, I'm we're not staying at the team hotel. So I just told him, I'm like, you're just going to have to take a lift back to the hotel because I expect you to want to hang out with your friends and your teammates, but, I'm not. You don't want me walking around behind you, 10 steps behind you the whole night. All right, anyway. So, so
Get good barbecue down there, though.
Sure. I'm sure that's what they'll all want to eat, too.
Well, you can.
Yeah, I guess I could. I guess the parents are nice, so there you go. All right, well, here's the deal. I saw something on ESPN, and it was every beat writer for every team talking about how the rookies had been faring so far this season. Mm-hmm. And they said it's hard to judge offensive linemen because they're better with pads on. So that's what that was good information.
That sounds correct.
And I read every one of them, and every one of them was positive, including Cincinnati, whose guy won't sign.
It's not there yet.
He's not there. He's there.
But
his mental reps, apparently.
no.
This is true. So the guy that the Cincinnati took from Texas A&M didn't do anything at Texas A&M, but he's this freak athletically, and he's a problem. And they still took him in the first round, and now he won't sign, even though there's no way he can't sign, right? This is just as a way of first round picks.
It's you don't want to hear.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear.
You don't want to hear about the contract language.
No, I don't. But I understand. But I sort of understand it. But just in terms of like for him personally, it would be devastating for him financially not to sign this deal. Because he can't re-enter the draft next year, or he can.
Well, he could, but the whole.
But then he would be a fourth round. They're saying he'd be a fourth round pick if he re-entered the draft next year.
And then there's also the whole now, even if you were a first round pick again, because he is an athletic freak, then you're moving back when you get your second contract too. You're not eligible for an extra year on top of that when you get when
it
the real
just seems
money
like
comes.
a weird hill to die on, but okay.
It ties to contract language and how you default on your guarantee, and like if you it's relevant for the player because like if something goes wrong, like how many different ways are there?
I understand why he would want it. I just don't understand how he's in a position because ultimately, like you said, he loses tens of millions of $10 million maybe. By delaying all of this.
So this is where it's sort of interesting, is that it is not like the standard language the Bengals have used. It's something new the Bengals are trying to put into the contract, and because of that, that could create a problem with him in the locker room. Because if he accepts it, well, then this is going to be a precedent for the team to use against other players.
No, so the Bengals, again, are handling things quite well.
Yeah, it's not great.
Is that the worst organization in football?
I mean, it's hard to say that when they were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago, but I think Joe Burrow has really pushed them to move out of where they were. He made the comment to me 4 years ago, like the old Bengals are dead. And I think the pressure he put on them to get T. Higgins and Jamar Chase done really affected the way that they did business with those two guys. They've added some scouts. They have a tiny scouting department. They've added some scouts this offseason, so you're seeing little steps. But there's still stuff like this and the Trey Hendrickson thing, and it's just, I mean, I understand that it's a family business, and maybe you're a little cash poor, but maybe that's why you do what Mark Davis did, which is sell off chunks of the team to get an influx of cash, so you aren't operating that way.
I don't get how you can be cash poor with all the TV money flying around, and I don't get how any NFL team can be cash poor.
Well, it's because it's
the only asset they own.
Yeah, I mean it's really it kind of comes down to the makeup of the ownership and the ownership groups and how much money, how much cash you can actually afford to pay out in a signing bonus. They have the dumb funding rule, which is basically a deterrent to guaranteeing contracts where you have to fund every guaranteed dollar. So, like, if I sign Hardy to a 3-year, $150 million contract, and he's only getting $50 million in the first year, but I guarantee $120 million, the extra $70 million goes into escrow. So, I mean, that's such a stupid rule, but it was in place like 70 years ago,
right? When
you weren't sure that a team could make the payment,
right? When you had guys that were winning
but
teams
now
games.
Now it's just there as something for teams to point to when they're telling players they can't guarantee money in the contract.
We just saw I don't know if did we talk about this with you last week? We just saw the Lakers, sell for how much did it sell for?
$10 billion.
$10 billion.
$10 billion.
Yeah.
And now private equity, I know, is really moving into professional sports. Is it going to get to the point where if you're a Mark Davis or if you...
this is something that to me, like, this is really interesting because if you look at it, I think there are 4 or 5 NFL teams that if you look at the Forbes list, which obviously isn't official or anything else, but like there were 4 or 5 teams that had higher valuations, 4 or 5 NFL teams that have higher valuations than the Lakers do, and it's getting to the point now where it's who's going to be able to afford to buy these teams, and it's creating, I think, a lot of different dynamics with these teams where private equity is getting involved. You're having more minority ownership groups coming in and buying chunks of the team. The Eagles didn't go in on private equity, but they brought in a couple of families from the Philly area. And there are a couple reasons you do that. You do that for the influx of cash, right? So you can liquidate some of the value of the team, but then also it's the estate tax. It's when the owner passes away, if the valuation of the valuation of the team's at a certain point, the estate tax is going to be at a certain point. If you own 80% of the team instead of 100% of the team, you might be in a better position. Plus, with the cash that you came away from selling parts of the team for, you might be in a better position to pay the
So
estate
this would be a
tax.
problem for Jerry Jones, whose franchise is worth $15 billion at this point.
Yeah.
And he's never selling anything to anyone.
Right.
No,
So,
he
like,
won't. But like Jeannie Buss, they're saying partially sold the Lakers because obviously that was in her family and it's everything to her family. She grew up in it. But I heard someone saying that she believes that's the highest it's ever going to be worth. Like that.
Well, she
that
also has siblings that own pieces of that technically own pieces of it too, right? That probably I would think are putting some pressure on her.
Yeah, but they weren't going to sell. My point is this: they weren't in the market of selling the team.
Mm-hmm.
Someone a private equity firm approached them and said, "Here's this ridiculous amount of money."
Yep.
And they're I believe what I've heard is her feeling was, we got to take this because it's never going to be worth this again.
Right. Even if it's worth $15 billion, that's not going to be for 12 more years. And
Exactly.
this is-
Right.
this is
Yeah.
water.
Like this is worth. Let's put it this way: this is as much overpriced as it's ever going to be.
Right,
Like,
because of the bounce.
like in 20 years, it
Yeah.
could be worth more than this. Well, first of all, it's not worth It's not worth $10 billion. They're never going to get an offer this good again in their lifetimes.
Well, because there's the question: does like the bubble burst with all of this? Because
That's what I'm saying.
This is where like David Tepper was really smart to buy when he did his gamble when he bought the Panthers, which I thought he bought. I think he bought them for like $2.3 billion, but he got in at the point he did because because gambling was being legalized. So the thought was that gambling was going to push the franchise values through the roof, which it did. The television deals are now at an all-time high. Is that going to hold? In 15 or 20 years?
That's what I'm kind of asking you. So, just quickly, if you can, and if not, we can break. So, like, if someone went to the Rooneys or Davis or one of these guys, and they just gave this like insane offer, like the Lakers went for an insane amount of money, more than it's valued at by a lot. Do you think that these owners could be picked off and that private equity moves in?
Well, there are rules in the NFL that prevent the private equity can only. I can't remember what the percentage is. I think it might be 10.
Oh,
but there's there's a certain percentage. The NFL didn't allow private equity, period, until a year or two ago.
Oh, okay.
And then they changed that rule, and it's because of the valuations of the teams, and it's gotten to be
crazy.
The price is too high. There's also a floor in what the principal owner can There has to be a principal owner who owns at least 30%, which is different than other sports where you have these consortiums. Like I think the Dodgers are owned by like 10 different people, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like in football, they have it so there has to be you have to assign a principal owner. And B, that principal owner has to have at least 30% of the team.
Yeah, because Jeannie Buss is staying on as like the head of it too. And that probably wouldn't be allowed in the NFL.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because that is real quick. Just my fascinating thing about these sports is like, when is it? Like when do they? Because there will be a moment where it doesn't get any more valuable. Like it's just the way things go. Like it's going to be interesting where that is.
What's interesting about that too is like, does there come a point when you do what they did with the soccer teams in England, and now you're inviting sovereign money in?
Woody Johnson, just now.
And
sovereign money, meaning that like Saudi money and stuff
yes.
like that, which I think the government would not be overly, they start
but
poking
they
their head
allowed it
around.
in the UK, right?
Yeah, but this is the United States.
I know.
Well,
I know.
Look, they want to privatize public land here, so who knows what's going on? There's lots of things are on the table. All right, we'll be back in just one moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Another big trade for the Celtics last night. They sent Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round draft pick to Atlanta as part of a 3-team deal with Brooklyn. And in return, the Celtics received Georges Niang and a second-round selection. The NBA draft begins tonight. The Red Sox lost their fourth in a row, 3-2 into the Angels in 10 innings out west. Richard Fitz will pitch against the Angels this afternoon. Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, and BU legendary head coach Jack Parker have all been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And the New England Revolution hosts Nashville FC tonight. Kickoff is at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center. With 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center, urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Visit the 99 restaurant the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. The 99 restaurant, the official family restaurant of the Boston Red Sox.
Hey, it's Beetle here with Mike Albert's kids, Grace and Noah from Premier Basement Waterproofing. A few years back, I found water while having my basement remodeled, and it was a disaster. Thank God for Noah and the team at Premier. They were at my home in no time.
That's right, Beetle. Now you can live dry and never worry about seeing a drop of water again.
So if you're moving into a new home or finishing your basement like Beetle did, make sure you schedule with us before you do anything.
Call 844-LIVE-DRY or visit...
Bert Blast. Lives in Duxbury by the bay. Bert stops by Dunks on the way. We love Bert. He's a lot of fun because he already went for a run. It's time for Bert's Blast.
Yeah.
I love Nick. Nick's got such a great voice.
Bert's been blaming his wife for being late today, but all right, this is not
It's the first time in a while though. We had a really good run.
We did.
There.
We touched.
I'm
the
happy
sun.
for you. That's
all right,
great.
so this is not a traditional Bert's Blast because it's one question. So, but we got to play the theme. All right. Outside of the debate going on between Florio and Pablo Torre and who broke it, there is this story going on.
Florio.
It's fine. I don't want to really get into it. But I do want to get into what it is. All right. What is this about collusion in the NFL?
So like there was like a lawsuit about without getting into the weeds of it, based on the idea that owners have colluded to prevent players from getting fully guaranteed contracts, which I think is sort of an accepted thing, like that. They get into these at the owners' meetings. I've referenced this before. They have the privilege session, which is basically the 32 owners or 31 owners plus the Packers, and it's like a +1, and that +1 has to be a family member, right? So like for the Crafts, Robert and Jonathan. For the Joneses, Jerry and Steven. And everybody jokes that's when they talk about how they're going to hide all the money. I think it's presumed that they've worked together. The NFL owners have worked together to prevent there from being fully guaranteed contracts in pro football. However, that would be highly illegal. So they can't create this. They can't allow the reality of this to ever see the light of day. So the lawsuit existed, and in the lawsuit there was a text conversation between two owners, Michael Bidwell and Dean Spanos. And so Kyler Murray was drafted in 2019. Justin Herbert was drafted in 2020. And in the text exchange, it was after the Cardinals had signed Kyler Murray to a contract that had a ton of money in it, but not very much of it was guaranteed. And it was the Chargers owner, Dean Spanos, said, "Hey, great job on this contract." And then this is really going to help us a year from now.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
And it was just, I think Florio said, as smoking guns go, this is a pretty smoky gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was basically and the example Florio raised was, do you think the executives at Coke and Pepsi are texting this way?
Right.
If Coke does a great deal somewhere, do you think the executive at Pepsi is texting him saying, "Thanks, bud, that's really going to help us"? No.
Well, it leads to your macro point, which I think is the most interesting thing you've ever brought up on the air, and that's what owners care about. And it's not necessarily winning Super Bowls, but it's how you win in terms of...
Yeah, they're more... They are more competitive. I think there are some owners that are more competitive about doing good business than playing good football.
Well, that's their competition, and winning the Super Bowl, fine, that's great. But if you can do it and you didn't break the bank in order to do it, that's your victory.
Yeah, like inside those rooms, there's a bit of teasing about bad business deals and things of that nature.
Right, like the idiot isn't the team that went 2-15. The idiot is the guy who screwed up the sponsorship.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to be fair, it's who they are. You know what I mean? Like, it is who they are. But I think we brought that up last week. I know you were out last week, but we brought that up last week with the Devers thing, where I think it 100% applies, because it's the Devers deal, I think, was a reaction to backlash from bets. And so they do the Devers deal, and the Devers deal is looked at by some people in baseball as bad business. And so is unloading Devers as much about getting rid of what they feel like had become bad business, even if it hurts them and their baseball product.
Yeah, I would make the argument that baseball is a little bit more of a Wild West situation
Because there's no cap.
Because there's no cap, but what you're saying is true. I believe it's true, and why it's so interesting is it kind of makes the fan base just like the rubes walking around pretending that we know what's going on, when ultimately we care far more about the finished product than the owners.
There's a whole
do.
other competition going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like we're watching something like idiots, like lemmings, while they're all
Counting
joking
money.
around. It's trading places. It's the Duke brothers. Like, we're just pawns in this elaborate game by billionaires, like seeing how far they can push it, and they are. I mean, they're getting a kick out of seeing. I told you, I heard the guy from the NFL was on Mad Dog, and they're like, is there a guaranteed week off after international trips? Nah. Why? Well, because it's not. And by the way, we might not only just send you to London, we might send you to Saudi Arabia too. And Mad Dog's like, really? He's like, yep. And it was just like, F you, here we go, double freedom rockets. You care? Like, the NFL right now is in a fascinating place, and I don't know if I'll be alive to see it. Because let's face it, I'm running hot, but I'm James Dean in this thing. I'm dead man's curve, 80 miles an hour. Yeah. But but in all seriousness, there will be a time where this reach a tipping point. It will be interesting when. I've made this point many times. If you looked at a newspaper from 1950, it's boxing, horse racing, and baseball. I mean, it will get 50 years from now will probably be something different. It is interesting that the owners are playing a game. And we're just the idiots. At least I'm getting paid, but at least we're just the idiots going like, duh, and then they're just laughing at us. Like, it puts Deflategate in a whole new perspective, doesn't it? Like, everyone was outraged and Deflategate this, Deflategate that. But the owners were all like slapping Goodell's back and having a good time and, smoking cigars.
I mean, like, for all the stuff about for all the stuff people have said about Roger, I think the interesting thing is every one of the commissioners of the last 60 years, there have been 3 of them, were hired for a specific reason. Pete Rozelle was brought in when football was not the number one sport, and he was brought in to make it the number one sport. So he was like the P.T. Barnum, the PR guy. Paul Tagliabue was hired coming off of 2 strikes. He was the lawyer. You're hiring the lawyer to come in and fix the CBA and fix the owner's control over the players. And then Goodell came in 2006, and he was brought in because he was really good at creating new revenue streams and these big money. It went away from the family ownership, like the guy who owns the car dealership also owns the football team,
right?
To now, like Steve Ross, who's a real estate magnate, owning a football team. And what's the ethos of those guys? Just make the most money possible, and that's the league now. And so all these people are like, "Oh, Roger's a clown." Well, like, the reality is, like, the owners do get mad at Roger, but there's one thing that Roger was brought in to do, and that is generate the most money possible. And it's hard to argue with the job that he's done in that category.
Yeah, and that's why
like anything he does, he's impervious to so many different things because he's making them so much
and
money.
That's why that righteous victimhood of the whole Deflategate thing bothered me even more, is because you cared so much more than they did. All right. Bert,
they were just trying to figure out how to manage it.
Exactly. Bert, thank you so much.
Thanks,
enjoy your vacation and enjoy your time in New Jersey.
And enjoy Alabama. Dreamland barbecue.
Listen, look out Tinder in Alabama. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
Southern Bells, look out.
Well, I mentioned that for a reason, is because I'm not married anymore, but when you're married, you got to have a hall pass.
Oh, smooth.
You got to have a hall pass.
Yeah.
So one of the grand elder statesmen of the hot takes has got himself a hall pass. It's a weird conversation. We'll play that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to teams. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Monday night, the Celtics traded Drew Holiday to Portland. Last night, it was Kristaps Porzingis' turn. He was shipped to Atlanta along with a second-round pick as part of a three-team trade with Brooklyn. In return, the Celtics received Georges Niang and a second-round pick. The team is now under the dreaded second luxury tax apron. They'll pick 28th tonight in the first round of the NBA draft. Cooper Flagg is expected to be selected first by Dallas. Also, Kyrie Irving yesterday declined his player option. He agreed to sign a new 3-year, $119 million contract with Dallas. Rookie second baseman Christian Moore hit a game-tying solo homer in the bottom of the 8th inning and then a walk-off two-run shot in the 10th. That handed the Angels a 3-2 win over the Red Sox late last night on the West Coast. Alex Cora's team has now lost 4 straight games.
Any loss is frustrating, It just happened that, the kid put 2 good swings and 2 fastballs. The last one, he drove that ball to right center. You got to tip your hat to him.
Garrett Crochet allowed 3 hits and struck out 10 over 7 shutout innings and wound up with a no decision. The Red Sox will start Richard Fitz today in the final game of their West Coast road trip against the Angels. Former Bruins captain Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton, along with BU legend Jack Parker, have been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And it'll be the New England Revolution against Nashville SC at Gillette Stadium tonight. Kickoff is at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The Reds have allowed 15 goals total in 16 matches this season. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the 99, like the crispy fried twin catch with North Atlantic cod and crispy shrimp. Available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. You said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy.
Into wearing a Steve Jobs-like turtleneck, black turtleneck, sometimes with a gold rope chain. I'm not making any of this up. Unironically, though, he's not kidding. He's not, doing a bit. But he's not wearing that here. So what Skip Bayless is doing now, it doesn't really matter. I read about this through, a third-party source, but Skip Bayless has got some video. I don't know if it's called a podcast. I'm not being cute. I don't know if it's live, what it is. I think it's live. But it's on the computer. I'm 50, right? It's one of these things. And it's him and his wife. Now, when I saw the video, it had under 1,000 views. I don't think it's doing very well, but regardless. So it's him and his wife. Skip Bayless is 73. His wife's attractive. She's not a young woman, though. She's, obviously around his age. He didn't marry it's not Belichick. He's with a fairly age-appropriate woman. Now, she is attractive, but I am telling you this for a reason. So she's not 40, 50 years old. I would believe she's over 60. And this is the conversation that they had. All I'll say is that it's about a hall pass. And a hall pass, I don't know how much they get into it, but a hall pass, of course, is a ridiculous thing that dumb people do where they're married and they go, you have a list of people that I would let you F if you happen to do so because we both agree it would be such a wonderful experience for you.
Do you have celebrity hall passes? And if so, what celebrity is it? Okay, if I understand celebrity hall...
So they're reading a question that was sent to them.
Do you have celebrity hall passes? And if so, what celebrity is it? Okay, if I understand celebrity hall passes is where you would agree if so-and-so celebrity said she would sleep with me, then you would say, that's okay, you can sleep with her.
It's kind of like the movie.
Okay, this would be like a fantasy of...
Right, okay.
Okay, the problem with the fantasy is it ain't going to happen.
Well, it's happened to me twice, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, so... she is bringing up the movie Indecent Proposal. Ryan thankfully edited it all out. Skip is completely unaware of Indecent Proposal. And her thing about Indecent Proposal is that Robert Redford offered thousands of dollars to sleep with the woman.
Well, there's a movie called Hall Pass.
Yeah, but they're talking about indecent proposal.
Yes.
She's talking about, and then she
going further back.
goes on and on about
okay.
wanting to bang Robert Redford. I don't know if he kept that in there, but she
I
really
see.
wants to bang Robert Redford. But again, I'll play this.
Okay, this would be like a fantasy of.
Right. Okay.
Okay, the problem with the fantasy is it ain't going to happen.
Well, this happened to me twice, but I'm not going to talk about that.
What happened to you twice?
I ended up dating somebody that I used to have their picture on my wall, but I'm not going to go into it.
Okay. Well, that's the point of the hall pass, but you weren't married.
No, I wasn't married at the time.
Okay, well,
but
then
I was single. Oh, then it doesn't
messes
count.
up your hall
oh,
pass.
okay, forget it.
So
okay.
you didn't need a hall pass.
No, but I'm making the point of a fantasy person that you never think you're ever going to meet, and then you meet them. So what I'm saying is, even in this hall pass, there could be a chance someday you meet somebody out of the blue, but whatever. My hall pass would be...
Okay, so she's saying, hey, everybody, and Skip, my husband included, this notion that a hall pass is fake is nothing at all. I'm banging everybody. I banged people. There was what did you? I had Cassidy. I had Leif Garrett. I was banging everyone under the sun. What? Sean Cassidy and Leif Garrett. I had them all. I had little Michael Jackson. I had everybody.
But I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah, she's not going to talk about it. She's just what? She's just like, oh yeah. By the way, Skip, I banged these famous guys.
I'm not talking about this.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it. But you want to talk about it. I fulfilled every fantasy, Skip. Basically,
I took care of business.
This vagina has been to Oz and back, my friend.
So Skip Bayless is 73. Let's say she's 60.
I think she's probably a little older than that, but sure.
Okay. Well,
yeah, you're talking about like late
60
70s. She had sex with
65.
Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Sure.
so on her wall, it's I'd say early to mid 70s. Yeah.
She's 63 years old, so you guys are in the right.
Oh,
in the right
okay.
place.
Yeah.
So, it's pre-Eric Estrada.
Oh, yeah. It's like Leif Garrett and
the
Sean Cassidy.
Sean Cassidy is
That was
a
a
great
good
one.
reference.
And by
yeah.
the way, for like a woman, is that really that much of an accomplishment? It's pretty easy to get a guy to have sex with you. I mean, it's just hanging around.
if the woman actually says yes.
What it often
then
entails
yes.
is going up to that person and said, "Would you like to have sex with me?"
Again, I've heard of famous football, very, very, very famous football players that have a lawyer in tow. If not a lawyer, a right-hand man with an NDA on a tablet to sign right away. Like, to my understanding, having sex with famous men, not the hardest thing in the world. But she has to get that in there. He's reading, and I do believe organically he's just reading this off the screen, and she's like, "Oh no, Skip.
Yeah.
For you, it's a fantasy. For me, it's a reality."
Well, this happened to me twice.
Yeah. I had sex with the Quaker Oats guy. I did everything.
Okay.
That's Skip.
Wilford
lost in thought right
Wilford
there.
Brimley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone on Gunsmoke. It was a whole gangbang. I will tell you this though.
Fish from Barney Miller.
I wouldn't. Even I am not at all jealous. And you could ask my ex-wife. You could ask any of my any woman I know. I'm not jealous. My thing is, if you do it, then fine. It's I don't have to put up with it. But it's not. I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. I don't know if I'd love that. I don't know if I would love that if I'm doing this fun celebrity hall pass thing, and then my wife is like, "Oh no, I've already done it." Yeah. And you don't know about it. How come I don't know about you banging two famous guys? Like, I don't need to know everyone you had sex with. I'd like to know if you had sex with a famous person. That's a good story. Why are you holding out these great stories until now when I'm 73 and you're 63?
Well, when I mentioned Chris and Mike, who'd you think I was talking about? Christopher Knight and Mike Lookinland. I had them both.
Yeah, it was a whole
two
bunch.
of the three Brady boys.
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of Bradys at the same time. Now, Bobby was underage, so that was not happening. And you know what, Jan? Let's be honest. Jan was there. Alice, we didn't have to worry about her getting pregnant.
But whatever. My hall pass would be I have diehard people that I love. I've always loved Al Pacino.
Okay, so Bruce Willis.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Right.
The guy who plays Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, Alan.
He just
Rickman.
died.
Yeah, he's
Alan
dead.
Rickman, yeah.
Dennis Franz, the cop from the second one.
Oh yeah, and the whole Die Hard.
Mr. Winslow from Family Matters.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd be interested.
The whole Die Hard universe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Mr. Winslow, I believe, is a homosexual.
Samuel L. Jackson, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
That's right.
I'm not positive I've seen that.
I have diehard people that I love. I've always loved Al Pacino.
She would sleep with him tonight.
I love Al Pacino. I met him once, but I love him.
Okay, I'm going to give you a hall pass. On
She
Al
is
Pacino.
really the woman about town. She's hanging out with Pacino. She's not an actress or anything, but she's letting Skip know.
This is a whole discovery session for Skip.
Yeah, like
Has
she's
no idea that any of this existed.
She wants to know that this is she is people want her. This isn't a fantasy. She's not stuck with Skip.
PR. She's a PR person, and it explains how she's met all these people.
Well, PR people are generally very, very good looking. That I can say. I couldn't if I had a PR person leading me around. I can't say if they wanted to sleep with me, I would be opposed to that notion.
And then I also have always loved Robert Redford.
You have?
Robert Redford.
Handsome
can
guy.
do no wrong.
Also 80-something, I think.
He's 88. So what?
Okay.
I mean, there are millions of other guys I think are handsome and good looking and, you know.
Better than you.
Yeah.
You cuck.
Okay.
Why don't you just sit there in the corner? Mind your business, Diddy. A lot of these guys aren't even famous. They work in the building.
My hall pass, just guys I work with. The guy that one cubicle.
Yeah.
No, well, the doorman. Yeah, the guy, cleaning up right now. The guy.
Really, anything.
The bartender at the club.
Anything with something swinging,
Whatever.
Yeah, I'll take
whatever.
it. I'll take it.
I don't care. 88.
So what?
28. So what? So what, Skip? It's a meaningless act to me, Skip. There's no intimacy.
I derive no joy or passion from it. I just need it.
It's more the using that I feel it keeps me alive.
Al, if you're watching,
Al,
you can have her
I don't have to have a kid.
tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Free. I'm no charge.
Free, no charge. I do know where he goes to the heart doctor.
You do in
Yes.
Beverly Hills?
Yes.
You
yes.
saw him there or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Pacino and Redford.
Okay.
Over to you.
All right. So I have had a celebrity crush on Marie Osmond because
do like Marie
we
Osmond.
did go see Donnie and Marie. I'm looking at Marie and I'm like, God, she looks
She's
good. Hot.
She's hot.
Okay. And then one thing led to another, and I think she kind of likes me.
She's very
Marie,
beautiful.
I'm
Call
available.
him,
Would
please.
you give me a pass?
Go. Go.
You
go.
wouldn't give me a pass. If
I'd
it
give
really
you-
came to be, she would say no.
I would. Are you kidding me? Go for a month. I don't care.
Go for a
yes,
month?
At least I'll
Marie,
get a break. I don't
how
have to
about
watch
a month
sports.
in Barbados?
I don't have to watch sports for
and then
1
it'll
month.
be over. It'll be over. I've always had a crush since, no doubt, on Gwen Stefani.
You do. You
and
have.
I know
We
she's
saw her in
happily
concert.
married, and so I got
I don't
no
know.
shot with Gwen Stefani.
I don't
but
know, Blake. I don't know.
no.
Go ahead. I'm going to be busy. I got other things to do.
Well, I don't.
I got other
She
people to
is
see.
hot.
Yeah.
Look,
Go ahead.
you're his age. Was Marie Osmond a sex symbol for you?
Oh, she was everything during the Donnie and Marie Variety Hour. Let me tell you.
That's like when people like the redheaded lady from How I Met Your Mother.
But there was nothing. Okay, I
It's
understand.
just this attainability.
She was a little bit country. He was a little bit rock and roll.
The Marie Osmond thing was, yeah, of course she's attractive and has been attractive for a long time, but there's zero sexuality about her.
I just don't get like dumbing down your fantasy to make it more realistic. Like if your fantasy should be someone unattainable. Now I do get if you've had an interaction with a celebrity, as I've had many, where they're biting their lip and you could see that there's
Touching their hair.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of vibe happening, and now that can be used very well in solo sessions. But if you ever wouldn't the celebrity hall pass be someone completely unattainable?
Well, I think Gwen Stefani is unattainable for him.
I also find that odd.
Yeah, that does nothing for me.
Yeah, I've met Gwen Stefani on several occasions, and I that would not be. I was not overwhelmed with her beauty. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, beautiful or not, I find like her whole like switch in music and all that stuff to be really off-putting. Like, I'm in a rock band, I'm an alternative girl, and now she's making Christmas country duets with her dopey husband. Oh, shut up.
I have a picture of me interviewing Gwen Stefani, and she has red hair and braces. There was a time after they got famous where she got like legit braces. She had adult braces.
How about that?
Well, it paid off. I mean, she got Blake Shelton. Yeah. Nick, go ahead.
Hey, guys, you there?
Yeah, what's up?
All right. I'm so shocked that you guys aren't mentioning the fact that Skip Bayless not too long ago was involved in that scandal where the hairdresser was claiming that he offered her money to sleep with her.
Not only
so
offered
it's kind
money.
of ironic that he's having this.
Offered $1.5 million.
Ahead.
That is true, and it's a good point. But I'm on Skip's side with this. I don't think Skip made a legitimate offer to this woman for $1.5 million. You know what I'm saying? That's what made the whole thing a little odd to me. I don't doubt he was inappropriate, but then you throw out the $1.5 million figure, and I had my issues with that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, but I mean, even it's just kind of awkward that they're having that conversation on the air when that whole story is out there.
Unless that whole story is so ridiculous, he didn't even, give it any credence or any thought.
But to your point, sir, maybe that's why she felt the need to come in with how she's already done it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she felt the need that she's like, hey, Skip, this ain't no fantasy for me.
And Ernestine, what if Skip had offered $1.5 million to his hairdresser to have sex with him?
Whatever.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
So what?
Yeah.
So what?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's like, Skip, you have to offer $1.5 million to some mid-hairdresser. Meanwhile, I know where Pacino goes to the heart doctor, you son of a bitch. All right, thank you, Nick. There you go. That $1.5 million. Like I guess it would be inappropriate to go like, oh, I love you so much, I would do anything. I'd give you $1.5 million. I don't think that was a legitimate offer. Skip Bayless probably has a lot of money. I don't know if he's got $1.5 million in liquid cash that he can just be handed out for sex.
I'll give you $1 million to have sex with me. No.
Okay.
How about 1.5?
Now, if you're Belichick, now the bank is open.
There we go.
$1.5 million is just you'll buy a receptionist for the Giants a Park Slope condo for $2 million. You have sex with Belichick. I mean, you get access to the bank account.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about liquid, baby.
No, we're not.
We're not talking
about this.
We're not talking about first class, nickel and diamond it. We're talking about liquid.
We're
talking about never thinking about money again.
That's right. The Belichick bank is never closed.
No, and that's why it's so preposterous that Bayless has offered the hairdresser $1.5 million. But it's come out in court that Belichick actually gave a woman, bought a woman a $2 million Park Slope condo that was the receptionist for the Giants.
So what?
Well, I would say that doesn't speak well of his self-confidence.
Whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, that's sort of paying for sex.
Sort of?
Sort of. I didn't know there was any mystery to it.
Well, there is a gray area.
Directly, just
Are
indirectly.
you kidding me?
It's indirect payment for services.
Okay.
I mean, it really is.
That's okay.
Like when Jordan bought the $7 million in property in Dorchester, investment or not, that's still a lot of money to be giving your girlfriend.
No.
There's more. There's more.
You know, you buy a ring, you buy him a piece of jewelry, you buy him a nice purse. These are all things that come with the territory. Real estate. It's where I might draw the line. Like, you can't believe it. Tom, gave his girlfriend this Prada purse. Okay, well, that's a nice gesture. He's got the money. he took her on vacation. That's fantastic.
Even if it was a $100,000 purse, there isn't a huge paper trail to go along with it.
Well, it's not like a lifestyle. You're not buying them like a post me dying life. Like all this exists. Like you go marry another guy, this is all yours. Like the Prada purse, like go out on the town, have some fun. Real estate is maybe where you draw the line. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. The Celtics have been making moves. We have a Celtics expert in John Wallach. He even knows the guy they got in the Porzingis deal. He's aware of him, and that ain't no small feat. We'll be back. What?
Yes.
Small feat?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
trip, he'll vacation, and I love it, right? He's not afraid to be aggressive and make moves. I don't think this is the end of it, right? You're not going to just give up a guy in Kristaps Porzingis who was a crucial part of you winning the NBA championship, and that's all you get back. I think he's just getting started.
We are Toucher and Hardy, and as you know, the Celtics have to get under these aprons. The math of it and the rules in the league are impossible to understand, but suffice it to say, Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis are no longer on the team. And Jonathan P. Real says,
yes,
of course Wallach knows the guy the Celtics received in the Porzingis trade. He played for the Hawks.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you're a bird.
Yeah.
You look like a bird, is what he's saying. All right, Jonathan, are these players, you're of the mind that these guys are going to play? That these guys they got in return are here for at least this season?
Well, Simons could go because Simons is somewhat attractive. He's 20. He's in the prime of his career. He's 26 years old.
Is he on your list? Is he on your list?
What list?
The list of people that you can have sex with freely in your marriage that you're allowed to.
No, he's not.
Okay,
but I'm not going to talk about that.
You said he was attractive. I didn't know if he was on your hall pass list.
Contract is attractive. Expiring contract. He averages 20 points a game. Niang is probably going to be here. The Celtics, I think, are going to be his sixth team in 10 years. He is the epitome of a journeyman, a guy who has survived in the league because he can shoot threes. He's a career 40% shooter from three. But like Simons, he isn't necessarily very good at defense. So, and he's undersized. He's 6'7". So I think of the two, Simons could be flipped, but I don't think Niang would be unless he's salary filler in a bigger deal. So both guys the Celtics got, Simons and Niang, both shoot threes, which fits right in with the philosophy. But both of them are also on expiring contracts. I don't necessarily think either one are going to be around after this season.
Okay. And so this leads to what is the ceiling for this team going into this year as currently constructed?
Tell me who the forwards are. Right now they don't have any. With Tatum hurt and Porzingis traded and Horford and Cornette as free agents, you have Neemias Queta as your starting center at the moment. I don't know who the forwards are going to be.
Is there anyone? So there's no one on the bench that you like?
Well, I mean, you got kids like Baylor Shireman, but, I mean, there isn't anyone really of note that you can point at and go, okay, that guy's going to play 75 games or 70 games for me. No.
So do you make trades because they have the 28th pick in the draft, and according to this mock, they're getting a power forward from Stanford named Maxime. Maxime Raymond. He's 7 feet tall, so they'll get a big because they're probably going to lose a big, obviously.
My running theory is they'll re-sign either Horford or Cornette, draft a big man tonight, and that'll be your tandem.
Okay, because that's very dangerous because the 28th pick in the NBA draft is not often someone who sticks around necessarily.
This is where they are. Now, I'm with Kendrick Perkins. I mean, the Celtics made these two moves, but they're only $4 million under that second apron. You need to create more room just to re-sign Horford or Cornette.
So you now have to make another move. So you get rid of Hauser, and then you get a little bit more breathing room. But again, now you're still up against it, and you don't have Tatum this coming year. And then when Tatum comes back, you have Tatum and Brown, but you're still up against it.
Mm-hmm.
So really the only move that could free you up to not be kind of trapped. Now, you're trapped with two great players, but we just saw it. A team, the Eastern Conference champion, played 10 players. What did Oklahoma City play? 9? You had these deep teams, a couple on one team, really no stars, and on the other team, a star and then a secondary star. But other than that, and by the way, Oklahoma City still got a ton of leeway and a ton of first-round picks and a ton of room.
They got 2 more first-round picks tonight.
Yeah, and so, they can make moves and they can still do things. If you're the Celtics, if you don't get rid of Brown, you're riding with Brown and Tatum and whatever else you can kind of fill in the blanks with. And this next season, not even Tatum. So my question would be, again, I am of the mind you move Brown. Now, I understand you can't. It's very hard to acquire a talent as good as Brown, a top 20 player in the NBA. I understand that, and I don't think you will. But what I do think you can do is that you can get depth and you can get talent and depth around Tatum, and maybe that's the recipe in this new league that Silver's created where parity is what he wants. You know, being 2 max contracts on your team puts you in this kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're going to have a team with 2 stars and then a really light bench.
I don't think the Celtics, I mean, right now, if you look at the roster, you think, okay, this is just a get-through type of year with Brown as your number one. You win your 45 games and you maybe win a playoff round and then you're done. I honestly think the Celtics are going to try and compete for something this year. And to do that, you're going to need to make, 2, 3, 4 more moves, whatever the case may be, because the roster you have right this second, not very competitive. So, again, you have to re-sign Horford, and with Tatum out, you have to find some way to acquire more talent than you have at this moment. So, as Perkins said, as we came in here, Stevens isn't done. 1, he's got the luxury tax apron to worry about, but 2, if you're going to put a team out there that will compete in a depleted East, I think you need more than what you have.
You also, and I understand you can't operate out of fear, okay? But you have to be convinced that Jason Tatum is going to return and is going to be his old self and will continue to ascend. And if there's any doubt in your mind that that is going to be the case, that he's going to come back from this injury, you can't afford to deal Jaylen Brown now and then be left with a less than Jason Tatum and say, my God, we had 2 guys here. One of them got hurt, suffered a catastrophic injury in the postseason. And what did we do? We dealt away the guy who was our finals MVP when we won it the year before. How dumb was that?
Yeah, but the thing is that you have no reason to think he won't come back. I mean, a bunch of guys have. And then 2, if he doesn't come back and if he comes back and he's not good, you're screwed. It's not like you have him. Tatum's on the team, and you can't trade him if he's hurt. So, I mean, Tatum's on the team. Tatum's taking up that chunk of your salary cap for as long as that contract exists. So, I mean, you're screwed. If he's not good, Brown or no Brown, you're screwed. The thing is that you have to operate like Tatum's coming back is going to be good, because if he's not, then write it all off. If you lose your superstar to injury and you got to pay him out his contract, the way the league is now, that's crippling. So, I mean, you know, there could be some kind of salary dump eventually, but not right now. So if he doesn't come back, you're not winning a champion. You're not winning a championship if Tatum doesn't come back as good as he was, regardless of what you do.
Sure.
So you have to operate with that in mind.
In the league. Yeah.
You think, John, that they can maneuver without trading Brown?
I think they would trade Derek White before they trade Jaylen Brown.
No, I think so. Well,
and Derek White's making a lot of money.
The thing is that, yeah, you could trade Derek White.
Make Pritchard your point guard and try it that way.
But you're still so up against the cap. It's just still, you'll get assets for him, but do you get assets that can rebuild your depth?
I think if you take a look, and I keep coming back to this, but the Desmond Bane trade, while not a lot of people know who Desmond Bane is, Orlando just spent 4 first-round picks and a pick swap to get him. And that sets the floor. Derek White's a better player than Desmond Bane.
Yes.
So you're going to get a lot for Derek White. And the reports over the last week have been, if the Celtics are going to trade a guy like White or Brown, the package for him pretty much has to be out of this world.
And Fred, I don't know if this is going to change your calculus on this, but I push back a little bit on this whole, he'll probably return. A bunch of guys have done it. A bunch of athletes have done it. But in basketball, and there's a whole institute that studies this now, and it's the Achilles are becoming so commonplace that there are guys now making their living on studying and rehabbing Achilles tears. In basketball, it's more difficult.
Well, Durant and Kobe did it.
Well, Kobe did it late in his career.
But he did it.
No, I know he did, but he wasn't as good when he came back.
Okay,
so
but he was
because
old.
of his age. Durant is the guy, and I'm trying to figure out what age it happened.
He's like the high water mark, but it's like 70% return, but something closer to 50% return to their former level. So if that's the case, and you think that they're not going to win without 100% Jason Tatum, maybe you deal Jaylen Brown now anyway. Maybe you
Well,
just
that's
start,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, you start.
I'm not saying there's any. The first part was I think he'll come back, but the second part was it doesn't really matter because you're screwed either way. The $54 million isn't going away. They take up 69% of your cap, which is very cool for what it represents sexually. But in terms of operating, in terms of, so if I'm not mistaken, that only gives you how much percentage of cap left to operate with. And I know there's exemptions and blah, 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 but you're really under the gun. And, Derek White makes $28 million, and that's a lot of money, but, it's not $107 million that you're owed. These two players are making like pretty much in perpetuity. And Jaylen Brown is 29, and this is the most he's ever going to be worth. I just don't know how you operate with both of them. The deals were done, and they had to be done. But, I mean, there are teams that can fit Brown in more easily than you because they don't have another contract like Tatum's on the books.
Right.
So a team would really, 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 really give you franchise-altering returns back.
That's the thing with Brad is I don't doubt that if they get franchise altering return on Jaylen Brown, he'll deal him.
If someone wants to offer the Celtics 5 or 6 first-round picks, Brad absolutely would take a look
and I
at
think that might happen. But can I just address one argument that I hear, not from you guys, but I hear is that you're not going to get someone of Jaylen Brown's talent back. Yeah, probably not. But the thing is that if you can get
so what
5 depth pieces, do you understand what I'm saying? If you can run out like a team, that's how teams are winning right now. You still have the star, you still have the guy with the ball in his hands, and let's not debate how good he is with the ball in his hands at the end of games, because he's got to be that guy. He has to be that guy for you. And then you have that surrounding cast. That's what I believe the future of the NBA is. And if you disagree with me, I think you're a real
That's
piece of
what the
garbage.
commissioner wants the future of the NBA to be. And Durant tore his Achilles in his age 30 season and has played one season over 55 games since. He's scoring a lot, but not playing 82 games like Tatum was playing year after year.
Right. And do you think that's more the modern NBA, or do you think that's his Achilles?
He's missing 30 games a season.
Well, then that's bad news for the Celtics.
That's more than the modern NBA.
Okay, then that's
why I brought it up.
Okay,
it's a cautionary tale.
Well, then I would really trade Brown. I mean, it would make me trade Brown more because you're stuck with Tatum.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Might reinforce
So
your belief.
Right. So I don't see really an angle to get out of this without trading Brown, because you can't trade Tatum for a lot of reasons. For if he comes back, first of all, you can't trade him when he's hurt, and second of all, if he comes back, he's got it. You're paying. Forget it. I just don't think you can trade him. So we'll see.
The question is someone going to step up and offer Brad that enormous package we were just talking about? I don't know.
Could San Antonio?
I don't know.
Hello.
Hey.
San Antonio. San Antonio, my friend.
A lot of first-round picks. It's a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, listen. You get Brown in the two
no
stars
one
they have
wants,
there.
No one wants to be, the team that traded all those picks to Oklahoma City.
Well, but why? The Paul George trade seems really good right now.
The Clippers, right?
Yeah. All right. But Jaylen Brown's won. And Jaylen Brown's won, he's got a championship where he was the best player during that championship run. So I think it's a little different than Paul George, and I don't think Brown has the problems that Paul George brings, the entitlement and everything else.
Sure.
I think Brown's a better person. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. We are Toucher and Hardy, and our good friend Adam 12 is producer now, and he's got an Instagram. What's your Instagram account, Adam?
It's Adam XII twice, because the guy who has Adam XII has that one. So I came to Instagram later than all the other.
What's Adam XII?
It's Adam 12. No, it's Adam XII. Adam XII.
Oh, okay.
You run them together twice.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, though. You got to follow him.
Oh, boy.
Because last night, I was looking at his stories on Instagram.
Oh.
And last night, not only was he having a cool microbrew, it was cribbage night.
That's right.
Oh, and he called it cribbage night.
It is cribbage night.
Now, what does cribbage night consist of?
So once a month at Idle Hands Brewery in Malden, they have a cribbage night. And actually, the guy who runs it is a former producer from
Deering.
here, Josh Deering.
Yeah,
who produced,
Josh Deering is there.
Yeah.
Former intern. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so he had texted me. He knows I'm a cribbage player, and he is as well. That's why he started the night. So he texted me on Monday.
Wait, whoa. He started the night so you and him could play cribbage?
No, I mean, he started the
very
night for
self-serving.
something to do at the brewery, but he knows that I'm a cribbage player like he. So he texted me to let me know that he was having cribbage night this particular day.
Okay,
This
how
month, so
many
I went
people
down.
go to cribbage night?
This particular one, myself and Josh.
So
there's another event going on at the brewery at the same time.
I don't doubt the popularity of the brewery.
Right.
This is in no way taking. I didn't know it was at the brewery, so this isn't my attempt to take down that brewery.
No, of course not.
It's more of that there is a night devoted to something that you do.
Yeah,
and that thing is cribbage.
Yes.
First of all, how the hell do you know how to play cribbage?
It's one of those things. I feel if you come from a cribbage family, like my dad played cribbage, so he taught me how to play cribbage, and my brother and my uncles, we all play cribbage.
It seems like a complicated affair because not only is there a deck of cards, there is also some pegboard.
You got to get to the finish line.
Peg?
That's right.
It is a very difficult game to
Is
explain.
the winner the one who gets pegged or pegs? So what do you? So how do you play cribbage? How complicated is it?
For like 2 minutes.
That size says it all. You can't possibly understand this.
Honestly,
is that I want to know how complicated it is.
But that's the joke about it, though, is it's a very complicated game because there's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's a card game, and there's two kind of stages to it. There's a stage where you and the other players
so it's like a disease.
Lay down cards to try to make points, and then once you've laid your points down, you then have your hand of cards that you can make additional points.
How long does this operation take to complete?
Well, if it's like me and Josh, we bang out a game in like 20 minutes because we know what we're doing, and it's just two people.
Yeah.
But you can play with up to 6. You can have like
Is it sad with just two people?
No, I actually prefer it when it's just two people.
You like it more intimate.
Yes, I do.
Now, is there conversation being had during this, or
Absolutely.
is it just straight to the script?
No, just catching up.
All right.
What you been up to?
How many? Tito and Pedroia used to play
Every
cribbage.
day before the game, they play a game.
I don't understand how people learn how to do this. It's like bridge. My parents used to have bridge night, and it was like this uproarious affair because all I remember is being in my room and hearing people being loud. Now I realize they were drunk, but it was a party in the 80s where there was smoking and drinking and everything.
Okay, so there's one game that we started playing as a family because my mom and sister played it, and now we've got a couple of our neighbors playing it too, and it is equally complicated. And it's this weird like Dutch dice game thing that happens, but once you get it, there's something, and maybe it's not just my addictive personality because other people get hooked on it too. And once you get it, it's I don't know, it's like some dopamine rush. It's like, oh, you've learned something and now you're getting good at it, and that's
it's I've never had the patience for any of that. Like any social game like pool or backgammon or any of these card games.
Baccarat.
No one likes cornhole.
Baccarat.
Love cornhole.
James Bond.
Those are gambling games.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I found poker to be excruciating.
Oh, that was a big thing for a while. Was getting together with the boys and playing a little Texas
or having a
Hold'em.
friend who's doing coke all night,
2000s,
down in the poker
90s.
room because it's the only way to like survive a night in Vegas without losing all your money.
I went to high school that played like a weekly poker game, and again in like high school, and guys were throwing like the titles to their car into the pot. It was like the corniest What's that?
Now, did they
entourage
keep?
type
Did they
stuff.
keep the title?
Of course
to the
they didn't. Of course they didn't. It was ridiculous.
So yeah, because it just all of that just seems like a job. That when you sit down and when you go somewhere and it's a social thing, and then you have to be doing something where you're thinking in addition to already having to think about what you're going to say in a conversation. It just seems like a whole lot. It seems like a job.
Yeah, but
at that point.
It can be the other way around though, where like the conversation is easier because you're not just focused on a conversation. You got something to kind of distract yourself.
I think the whole thing is a distraction. It gets you out of your own head, and it keeps your mind active, and it also removes you from whatever torment you're putting yourself through on a continual basis, Freddie.
I think I know the answer to this already, but summer book is a week away. July and August, from what you guys are telling me. Yeah,
summer
book.
So
summer
spring book goes.
Spring book is done on Monday, I believe.
No, that's not how the ratings work.
Nah.
No, it would end. It would end today. It would end today, or it ends on a Wednesday.
Okay. Oh, then it probably is today. Okay, even better. Then
some producer you are.
Yeah. Well,
maybe if you weren't
Fred and I have had
cribbage.
conversations about the ratings before.
Yeah, he doesn't look at them. He's
Lifelong
above them.
I think I do now.
Professional here.
Yeah. Maybe that's why so many of these stations were for them. Maybe if you paid attention to the ratings.
It is today.
You figured it out.
Today's
the final day. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Well, good.
Well, then
I'm glad it goes till June 25th.
All the
which is
better.
Where everyone's still around.
You guys,
Dumb operation.
We'll do that. I'll teach. We'll do a segment when you get back from your week off. I'll teach you how to play cribbage on the air.
Like when the guy who sued me, Steve Barnes, played blackjack on the air.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah, Jimmy Barron was out one day, and Barnes was so good on the radio that when Jimmy, who was the talent of the show, was gone, Barnes sat down and literally dealt out 2 hands of blackjack and told the caller what the blackjack hands were, and they played blackjack on the air. And the thinking there was, what do guys like to do? Guys like to gamble. There you go. I remember the conversation.
Guys' night.
Yeah. Their whole thing was because they were so dumb that Jimmy is a talented guy, but everyone else was so dumb that they go, what are guys like? And they would talk to consultants, and the consultants would be like, gadgets.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a gadget expert on? Oh my God. Talk about stupid. You could talk about cribbage with Adam instead of talking about gadgets.
Guys like cigars too.
How many beers you rock last night?
I just had 2.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
He's not an alcoholic.
Yeah, I know. It's very disturbing to me. It's very disturbing to me. Does it disturb you too? I don't know how you can have 2 beers. It doesn't do anything. Just don't drink.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you would do anything other than drink. It's like, why are you playing cribbage and drinking?
That's my whole thing.
Well, and Fred, you and I are the sick ones here, but it's like the whole have a glass of wine with dinner. Why? Are we eating or are we drinking?
Right,
Those are 2 different things.
And what is that glass of wine going to do for you? It's just empty calories, and you could just like Constanza said, I'd rather have Pepsi. Now, if we're going to drink 4 bottles of wine, now there's a means to the end. All right, look, Kevin O'Connor is going to join us, and who knows if he knows how to play cribbage at all, so maybe it's pointless to have him on. But there are things going on in the NBA with the draft tonight, and we'll discuss that.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy.
WBZ.com.
From the Telfair Type Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the game. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Another day, another big trade for the Celtics. This time it was Kristaps Porzingis being shipped out. He and a second-round pick were sent to Atlanta as part of a three-team deal with Brooklyn. In return, the Celtics got back George Niang and a second-round pick. The NBA draft begins tonight. The Celtics have the 28th overall selection in round one. Kyrie Irving yesterday did Dallas a favor. He took less money. He declined his $43 million player option and agreed to a new 3-year contract with Dallas worth less than $43 million a year. It's a prize package worth $119 million. The Red Sox losing streak is now 4 after the bullpen blew a pair of leads and they lost to the Angels 3-2 in 10 innings out west. Marcelo Meyer, 3 hits and an RBI, but Greg Weissert couldn't hold a 1-0 lead in the 8th, and Justin Wilson blew a 2-1 lead in the 10th. Richard Fitz will start against the Angels this afternoon. Zdeno Chara, Joe Thornton, and BU legendary head coach Jack Parker have all been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And the New England Revolution play at Nashville SC at Gillette Stadium tonight. We'll have kickoff at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Associate Roofing. Contact Associate Roofing today for a free roof inspection. Go to associateroofing.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Get the
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Why do people listen to Toucher?
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
The Celtics prefer not to trade Jaylen Brown and Derek White. But listen, the offers that they're getting right now.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And that is of great benefit to everyone. You can watch us talk. And the shows are up there forever. Kevin O'Connor covers the NBA for Yahoo Sports. The NBA draft is tonight. And it's very exciting because the Celtics actually need help now. They're going to be looking to fill roster spots. Kevin, hello. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you guys having me. Lots to discuss.
Yes, indeed. First of all, do you think this is it for the Celtics in terms of moves? Or what do you see on the horizon?
No, I don't think it's it. I think they're going to continue to listen. That Shams Charania report is completely accurate about some of the teams that are making a push here for Derek White or Jaylen Brown. Ultimately, are the Celtics going to trade one of those guys? I don't think so. I lean towards no. But at the same time, like, offers can get crazy. For Derek White could fit on literally any team in the league. Jaylen Brown could put a team like a Houston over the top. San Antonio passed on KD. Maybe they want to go younger. There's, of course, other teams that could see incentive to go for Jaylen Brown too. So I think the offers are going to be something worth taking a meeting about for Brad Stevens in the front office. And I think the thing for fans to think about is, if you trade Jaylen Brown and you get more expiring contracts back, suddenly you are going to have near $100 million in cap space in 2026 and a ton of draft picks. So just, there's another path here that I'm sure the Boston front office is at least considering.
Yeah, and it makes the most sense, in my opinion. What do you think the return for Brown would be? Like, if you were Brad Stevens, what makes you start listening?
I would say more than what Memphis got for Desmond Bane, which was 4, first-round draft picks plus swap, but really one of the first was just a high-value one. And I think for Boston, it would have to be a lot of higher-value picks. Like, if it's from Houston, you need those Phoenix first and 27 and 29 on top of some of the other more valuable first-round picks. I think that's the type of package you're looking for if you're the Celtics for Jaylen Brown. And ultimately, I tend to lean towards the side that if you're able to get something that's significant like that, it could be worth. I mean, Jaylen obviously has had an unbelievable career with the Celtics, but the benefit, there's very few benefits of a Tatum injury of that magnitude, but at least open this door for like a soft reset that allows you to reset things this year, figure out who the young guys are moving forward, and then make a massive acquisition a year from now with cap space, absorbing a star that's available, signing a guy, and having a ton of picks. I think that's the formula for sustainable success in the NBA today. OKC has it with all their picks and youth, and I think Boston has a chance here to really find that middle that teams are going to have with picks and quality talent on the roster at the same time.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Would San Antonio be in the discussion today? They got the second pick in the draft. There's a big-time talent available with the second pick in the draft. I know the Celtics would be interested in that because you're getting a frontline guy.
Dylan Harper and 3 or 4 more first-round picks.
That's pretty good. But would San Antonio make that move? In that, is Brown at his current salary worth the possibility of getting Dylan Harper on a rookie deal?
I think from the Boston side of it, depending on what the other pieces are, it'd be worth it.
Sure, I know that, but I'm talking about San Antonio's side.
Yeah, for the San Antonio side, that's tough. I mean, I think for the Spurs, Dylan Harper, you probably don't trade for De'Aaron Fox if you know you're going to end up with Dylan Harper. And now they're in a situation where, like, you don't have to be like some crazy expert to see having 3 guards that are average or worse shooters isn't ideal around Victor Wembanyama. And I think the Spurs acknowledge that within. It's just a matter of what path do they take and when do they shake things up in that backcourt between Castle, Fox, and Harper. And if they're going to trade that second pick tonight, it's going to be for some massive return and maybe getting a key player back in that as part of it. And think back to when they traded Kawhi Leonard. They didn't trade Kawhi Leonard for Jaylen Brown, who was younger and inexperienced at that time. They traded him for DeMar DeRozan, a more proven player. And so for the Spurs, I think when you're thinking about number 2 pick trades, I don't think it's going to be for like 5 first-round picks in a trade down. I think it'd be for a proven player like Jaylen Brown. So I think it's logical that could be the type of thing they'd be looking for.
That would be exciting. Can you imagine tomorrow's show? If they traded for the second pick in the draft.
It'd be fantastic.
I mean, my goodness, you trade Devers and then you trade Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a abundance of
Rare
riches.
Summertime stuff.
I mean, this would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, how exciting. All right, let's talk about Dylan Harper then. Let's play in this fantasy realm. I mean, regardless, he's going to be in the NBA. I know going into the season it was Flag and Harper. And there was some debate. We had guys on that were saying that you look at Flag, looks like he's a little bit better, but there could be some conversation. There's no conversation now, obviously. What do you know about Dylan Harper? How do you see him being in the league?
Well, I think Dylan Harper at a minimum is going to be a good NBA player because he's 6'5", lives in the paint. He shoots nearly 70% at the rim this past year at Rutgers. Great finisher with either hand. He's strong, but he has great footwork as well. In some ways, the way he drives, he looks like a bigger, stronger, taller Jalen Brunson. The thing is, with Harper, can he shoot? Is the question with him. He's around a 75% guy from the free throw line, but he's never been a good shooter from 3-point range off the catch, 3-point range off the dribble, or from 2-point range for that matter on pull-ups. Last year he shot 29% on pull-up twos. So the question with him is, will he ever become a good or great shooter? And obviously that's a necessity for him to become a star-level talent and not just a good point guard. And so I think with Harper, there's a high floor. He'll be a good two-way player. He's willing to play with and without the ball, but how effective he'll be from the perimeter is really just the big question for him at that second pick. And I think every guy after Flag, there's one big question about them, whether it's Trey Johnson with his defense or Colin Knippel, what level does he reach as a shooter off the dribble to match his shooting off the catch? Every guy is a question holding them back from being a true all-star, all-NBA level talent. With Dylan Harper, it's very clearly the shooting.
All right, so Kevin, obviously Cooper Flag's the biggest story of the draft, but for my money, the second biggest is Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to go third. That's where all the mocks had him for about 5 months, and then he kind of spun into a ditch. I'm not sure what's going on with him. The latest I read this morning is that Philadelphia is not taking him at 3, and he could slide a lot further than that.
Well, he hasn't met with any of the teams, right?
Yeah, that's the other part of it.
hasn't met with any of the teams, hasn't worked out with anybody. He had a funny moment, well, two funny moments during his media day press conference yesterday where he's asked, why didn't you work out for the Sixers? And he says, I'm just focused on basketball.
Yeah. He was told to say that. It's like Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I won't get fined. He said that same thing over and over again for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he says he gained 20 pounds of muscle since the end of the Rutgers season. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, some of this stuff just doesn't seem real to me. So I think with NBA teams, you find out at the combine, like, he's officially only 6'7", not 6'10" as listed. He's not working out for anybody. He didn't interview well. And that's on top of the fact that what he does best, which is like hit tough shots. Like, you see the highlights with what he's able to do on pull-up jumpers and all that. He hits some crazy highlight play shots, but he's not very efficient at those looks. And he's not a passer, and he's not a great at-rim finisher, shot below around 44% on at-rim layup opportunities in the half court. So not a finisher, not efficient as a scorer, very space-head defender. Like, he's very aloof on the defensive end of the floor. Like, there's a lot to like with the idea of Ace Bailey, but there's not a lot of substance yet. And I think for NBA teams, that's why they're favoring some of the guys you can feel a little bit more confident about, and they still retain all-star upside.
Okay, what's his deal? Like, what's the end game? I know that there were
so strange.
I know that he wanted to get into some kind of position. The talk with Ace Bailey, I'm aware, was he wanted a certain kind of fit, which is weird
but he's
because
costing himself millions of dollars.
Well, that's the thing is, I would think he would want money. Like the fit would. That's future money. But is there can you see a logical reason why he's behaving this way?
No, not at all. I mean, because like you said, the drop off from 3 to 6 or 7 is a significant amount of money over the duration of a rookie scale contract, and so unless they just don't care about the money, which just doesn't seem realistic to me, they must feel some sense of confidence that Philly's going to trade down from 3 on draft night tonight. And Philly's been listening to offers, but nothing has met the threshold of being worth trading down from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7 or 3 to 8. And maybe it gets there. I mean, the Nets have 5 first-round draft picks. They have a 6th of the picks in tonight's draft. So maybe for Philly at 3, they do end up getting something that is worth it once they're on the clock tonight. And Ace Bailey does indeed go number 3, as Ace Bailey's camp has been continually saying that it's going to happen. So maybe they know something that we don't know. But at the same time, I think they're taking a significant risk, because wouldn't you go to Philadelphia and do a workout to increase the probability that he indeed would go there, so teams would have to trade up to 3 rather than just wait for him to fall to you at 6, 7, or 8? Just none of it makes any sense to me.
I just don't see if you're not a premier prospect. I mean, obviously he's very talented. I knew who he was in high school. Like, I'm still fascinated that both of them went to Rutgers. And they couldn't win even with them, but they were terrible. Believe me, I saw them. The whole maneuvering. I'm thinking from an agent perspective. Yeah, like, you're just costing yourself commission. It's just very odd to me. All right, so here we are. Say the Celtics don't do anything and rob us all of the show tomorrow, and they stick late in the draft. Obviously,
rob you of the show. You don't want to talk about like Kalkbrenner at 28 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know any of these people outside. But
great defensive player from Creighton.
I know Chase Richardson. That I know, and he'll go in the 20s. I question him coming out. But the Celtics are there late in the first round. Obviously, back down there, you can draft for need, and they need a big man. I'm looking. I don't know who any of these guys are. I can't recall them playing. I don't recognize the names.
Kalkbrenner was a 4-year starter, very good defensive player at Creighton. That's who he's talking about.
And Maxine Raymond from Stanford. I didn't see Stanford play. Did Stanford do anything last year? I don't recall them.
No.
Yeah,
but Reyno's an interesting player, though. Right. He's like, Olynyk-esque, a 7-footer, can do some stuff off the dribble, shoot off a movement. He's an interesting player. I think Stevens would like if he ends up at 28.
Okay, and so do you see anyone that could make any kind of impact? Like, they need rotational players. Could they get a guy late?
Could they package some of these picks and trade up?
Well, that's one question, but just and that's a good one. But you follow up with that. But just, is there anyone at late in the first round that you could see is an obvious rotational piece?
I mean, I think for them, obviously you try to explore trading up. I just have a hard time finding the teams that they would trade up with, because so many teams in that kind of 15 to 22 range, that's their second first-round pick already. Would they want to trade down and get 28 and 32? I don't know. But at 28 and 32, I do think for Boston, in my current mock draft, I do Thiero, a 6'7" wing forward out of Arkansas, junior. He's one of the toughest, grittiest, most athletic players in the draft. He'll be a very good, versatile defensive player in the NBA. He had over 50 dunks last year at Arkansas, gets to the rim at will with a downhill, real aggressive attack. Is he going to become a shooter? That's the question with him. He's always been very streaky. Can the Celtics turn him into a consistent shooter, kind of like OKC has with Lou Dort? Dort entered the NBA with all those same positive qualities and the same questions about his shot, and then you see him taking moonball threes from the logo in Game 7 of the finals and shooting over 40% from three in the playoffs. So there's always a chance a guy can get better as a shooter. So with Thiero, I think he's this year's guy where he has all the qualities you want and a real high-level role player, and he can still have a successful career without a jumper, but the jumper would turn him into something really special as a player on a winning team.
So, Kevin, with you mentioned in him and what you guys were saying earlier about the kid from Creighton who's a great defender, do you think teams are going to be looking more for these good defensive players if they're going to be hampered by what they can do by signing multiple premier offensive players to the same team? Will teams be looking for those defensive guys more so now than they used to, or does it end up being a wash because you don't have as many offensive guys on one team anymore?
I think it's a great question because, you see the costs of a quality rotation guy that can survive on defense. Like already this offseason, you're wondering, what's Luke Cornett going to get? And that's Luke Cornett. It's not like he's, an all-star level talent or anything like that. So I think for the NBA draft, having a guy who can contribute on their rookie scale contract, whether that's as a role player or whether that's as an all-star in the first 4 years of their career, that is so important more than ever now with the new collective bargaining agreement, with all the restrictions Boston's facing right now, having to trade Porzingis, having to trade Drew Holiday to get under the second apron, and still possibly continuing to make more trades involving Brown or White, more likely Brown. So I think for getting rookies that can contribute, that should be a priority for them if they indeed plan to get back to contending as soon as the 26-27 season and the 27-28 season, because then you have guys that are making $2 million that are playing 25 minutes a game for you in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think the Boston Celtics would lean more towards who are the guys that can help us in the more immediate future. And Kalkbrenner, Thiero, those are some of the guys that make sense in my mind. But, maybe they take a swing as well on someone raw. But late
Fat
first,
Melo.
second round. Those,
give up on Draymond Green.
R.I.P. Fat Melo.
Stood in the middle of that 2-3 zone like nobody's business.
I still, it was one correct thing I've said. I said you should have taken Draymond Green. I said it the day of the draft, before the draft. I said it after the draft. All right. Well, look, hopefully they trade Brown. Let's be honest. It's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for everyone. I think it's the right move, too, but we shall see. What an exciting day. It will break, of course, at 10 a.m., but there you go. Kevin O'Connor, you're great on the air. We appreciate a great writer at The Athletic. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go.
Kevin.
I like Kevin O'Connor. Remember that, Adam.
He's at Yahoo.
He knows.
Oh, geez. Yahoo. My bad.
Yes,
Whoops.
it's all good.
I said The Athletic. Yahoo. My bad.
We're big fans of Kevin. That's
Kevin O'Connor at Yahoo. Kevin, if you're listening, you're at Yahoo. I apologize.
He used to come out with his own comprehensive draft guide back.
Will you text him and say I apologize and that I've corrected
Doing
that?
it right now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
He knows everything about all these kids. He is amazing that way.
Okay. Well, I liked him, and I don't want him to think that I was besmirching him. There's so many outlets. Yahoo obviously is the superior outlet today. I like Kevin O'Connor on Yahoo. I want that out to him immediately. I actually feel bad about that. It's my own ignorance. I got too caught up in the Brown stuff. Oh, if they trade Brown, what a fun day tomorrow. Oh, and what a fun couple years. You know what I'm saying? Because next year's going to be so boring if they have Brown because they're not going to win anything. And then, building
not with that attitude.
You know what? I got a rude dude. You've seen the T-shirt. Rude dude. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I come in. It's like wearing red or blue in L.A. It tells you what I'm all about. Rude dude.
Careful where you wear that.
Well, apparently in Worcester, where I was at Clark University, there's quite a gang presence, I've been told. Via
No.
Yeah.
The hell you said?
No, but like a particularly like well-organized and ruthless gang.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
so I would prefer them not bother me.
Yeah.
I don't have no way to protect myself against the whole gang.
Van Buren boys situation out
No,
there?
I think it's much more difficult than that. I don't think you can give them a hand sign and get out of that situation.
Fred Kevin O'Connor said, "No worries at all. Had a great time with you guys, so don't you feel bad."
Did you tell him that I doubled, tripled down?
I
Tell
did.
him to, tell him to listen to the
Pass along
podcast.
your sincerest apology. I'm sure he was listening anyway. He's a big fan of the show. He loves coming on. He said, hit him up anytime.
It can be hard, though, when you hang up and then it's a whole thing. I don't know what he hears and doesn't hear. All right, very good. We have an email. I've not gotten a lot of emails today, and I can only imagine yesterday you got a lot in my absence, so I'm feeling a little self-conscious about that. But we will do what we can to get through that. So if you want to send an email, we'll read it. Probably, unless you guys are getting a bunch. We'll be back in just a moment.
More Touch Your...
for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can email us by going to 985thesportshub.com, and the emails are fairly obvious. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Toucher and Hardy. You can follow me on Instagram at Fred Toucher, where we're building an empire. You can follow Adam at some convoluted handle. John's handle's ridiculous.
You mentioned it earlier. I got a bunch of followers out of that, so thanks, I think. I mean, we'll see what that
Instagram's not bad.
Instagram handle is not
in the DM. I don't even know really how to look at the DMs, so maybe I'm missing out. But
no,
yeah. So like, I don't find that to be a very toxic place. I can't be on Twitter anymore for my own health.
Yeah.
But I don't even have a burner anymore. And my life is improved because I don't miss it at all. And it's funny that things I thought of were important when I'm on Twitter. When you're not on Twitter, it doesn't exist anymore. It exists solely on Twitter.
And you have your own infrastructure of how to get information, because that's...
Well, yeah. I mean, all Twitter is links to stuff I already look at. It's writers that I follow. I can follow their stuff whenever I want. Someone on the show needs to be on Twitter for breaking news.
Yeah. John is, I am.
Yeah, so I don't need to be on it.
Right.
But it is funny that there's a whole ecosystem of people that seem very important when you're on Twitter. Not listeners or haters or anything like that. Literal media figures.
Right.
That seem to have this like certain amount of power. But they were people my friends don't know anything about. And then when you're off Twitter, I understand why my friends don't know anything about them, because they only exist solely on Twitter.
Right.
So when you're off of it, it's quite nice. Blind Scott says this. You know it's a slow day when I'm reading it. Says, I've been sending less emails because the government changed my paycheck date till the 3rd of the month, and I'm miserable because I'm not used to it. Well, Scott, your pain is our gain because it's less emails from you.
Why does the government changing his paycheck date affect his
Because
email
they're
output?
fascists. Because they're fascists.
Why
His
does that-
free money doesn't come on the same day anymore.
How does that affect the frequency of his electronic mail?
I wonder how much of my paycheck goes directly to Blind Scott. That's what I know. As a olive branch to the YouTube people, some of whom I hear are upset, our good friend Riz, who's been with us for a very long time, who I enjoy, says, so for months, and this is a good question because I questioned it being in the opening too, says, I love Nick's opening, but there is one part that is weird and does strike me odd. So for months, I've been trying to find out what to say in the, what you guys, I think you're saying, in the show open. All I hear is knocking back some fat ones and something. Can you help me out with that? I've been trying to find out what you say for months. It's a weird isolation that Nick pulled. It's knocking back some fentanyl.
Yeah. Right. And having some fun.
But out of context, it's stupid. So change it.
Oh.
Now we need a new intro. We haven't updated that.
I don't know if we
months
need a new
anyway.
intro. I
Just
like the
freshen
intro.
it up. It's nice. You to swap out a few drops and you put some new ones in.
That drop is not appropriate. It sounds like we're doing fentanyl, which is a horrible idea because it kills many people. Way to go, Nick, you stupid idiot.
Both be flying off the wagon if that were the case, too.
Well, we'd be dying. I know enough people that have died from fentanyl or people whose kids have died of fentanyl. It's a terrible, terrible scourge. Hopefully the drug dealers wise up. Maybe that Clark University.
That's right. Maybe they'll start dealing something that's a little healthier. Good call.
Well, not fentanyl. I'm not kidding. I mean, if you think you're getting cocaine and you're getting fentanyl, that's a problem. That's a very real problem. You're most likely not going to die from a line of cocaine. You die from the fentanyl. Adam, you ignorant bastard, with your microbrews and cribbage. You're living on cloud 9. Everyone else is down here on Earth.
You want me to teach you how to play cribbage?
No.
This is not a typical listener email, but this is something that I have been emailing back and forth about, and it is the potential major
They're threatening you and
major
going
show
crazy
announcement.
over things you have no idea what's going on.
No.
And literally disturbing you at the randomness of their hate.
Talking about their powers and how they're going to unleash their powers upon you.
Here, if you want to disturb us, here's the deal. Get really mad about something no one can figure out. Like if you send an email,
You want to scare us?
Yeah. There's this is actually kind of interesting. So there will be times where like a group of people get mad at us, like because we made fun of them. I don't want to get into it, but there's like and they cause a stir, but you understand why because you made fun of them. But then when you send some crazy ass email to us threatening us, and no one has any idea what the hell you're even talking about, concerning.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's concerning. That's what's concerning.
Well, I know exactly what this person is talking about, and crossover promotion here, right? You love crossover episodes in television. When
they're always a success.
Okay.
I mean, whenever the Friday night ABC lineup got together and went to Disney.
So this is serving as a crossover and maybe the debut of a new show. As this Sunday on the Sports Hub Golf Club, I will be joined by not one, not two, but three members of the Boston Glory Ultimate Team, who also
there's some holes in that
are also golfers, of course. But this will lead to what's happening a week from Sunday, Fred, when I will be in the booth, so to speak, to provide color commentary for the Boston Glory Ultimate game. It is my first job in the play-by-play booth, and I will be there as a color analyst.
Oh, well, that's your game. It's like Schefter doing the rounds at the Travelers. Did you see that? They gave Schefter a microphone at the Travelers.
Yeah, I
jealous?
A little bit, a tiny little bit, but I'm also I don't know if Schefter is equipped for this. I feel like I'm equipped for this.
Well, you're a broadcasting personality. And Schefter is a cipher for information.
Right.
Like Schefter isn't a writer nor a personality. Schefter is someone whose job is to glean information and then just spit it out. He exists on Twitter. You understand?
Yes. Boston Glory, by the way, undefeated. They're 8-0. And July 6th is the game at Hormel Stadium that I will be not only attending, but also in the booth, to speak.
What stadium is that? Where is that?
Hormel.
Our friend who makes fun of John's mom,
Uh-huh.
Not personally, he's never met her or seen her. He emails in.
What?
His name's Joe.
Okay.
Says, I thought with the second pick of the draft was described. I thought when the second pick of the draft was described as a great finisher with both hands. He thought of your mom.
Okay.
Then he goes into more detail about how that would happen. But I don't think that's necessary.
That's not
What
appropriate.
happened twice?
You understand, John? He's doing a mom joke.
Yeah.
About her being promiscuous.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Picking up
Stop
what you're putting down.
Bayless's
So
wife.
what?
Yeah.
She seems like a real barrel of laughs. So what? Sounds familiar. All right. Does anyone? Now that I've solicited for them, I've got a bunch of them. Okay. Here's one I'm reading off the top of my head. This is Josh from West Newbury. Says, Fred, I'm at the beach with my wife and kids. My wife hears the program and doesn't understand the subject matter. Will you please make a lot of bird noises on air so they will poop on her from aligning the show? John ran into the window.
Now I'm getting these emails. Where's Mark Davis?
We
need Mark Davis.
I don't know if I like that character, the Mark Davis character. It was a lot.
It was a lot for a while,
Yeah.
but I've gotten
I just got a kick out of it the first time I did it, and then
three
every
in the
time
last minute requesting it. So.
Yeah, but then when I did it too much, I don't know if I like it. In retrospect, like I remember one time I went back to listen to it because I thought it was funny, and then I listened to it and I'm like, that wasn't funny at all.
I think it's disrespectful to Mark Davis.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
I think it was more because John doesn't like it when you make these like ridiculous comments about his mom, even though I don't know her. And she hasn't done anything to warrant the comments. They're literally just because it's your mom. It has nothing to do with her as a woman.
Just as a listener, I was a big fan of the character.
Oh, you were?
I was.
All right.
Yeah.
Tune in Tokyo. Skipo Alex mom.
What was the music? I got to find the music, though.
It's whatever you played for Nick. I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
Where's Baby Elephant Walk?
I think it was Baby Elephant Walk, which is what we do for every dumb person like Nick and Mark Davis.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for the emails. You got us to fill up the segment. We'll be back.
There's a hero among us. You're really going to appreciate what this guy did, what he offered up, and what he ultimately did for the show.
Oh, okay. I will like
this
that.
guy.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment with that. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
2 nights ago, the Celtics traded Drew Holiday to Portland. Last night, Kristaps Porzingis was shipped out. He was sent to Atlanta along with a second-round draft pick by the Celtics' Brad Stevens as part of a 3-team trade with Brooklyn. In return, the Celtics got back George Niang and a second-round pick. The team is now under the second luxury tax apron. Right now, they are picking 28th in the first.
your friends, and then call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Quit smoking, not just for yourself, but for the ones you love and love you. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he's of some notoriety. Yeah, he's like the funny duck boat guy. Yeah, I know who he is.
Well, he gets, and he also gets on the news a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that he's like of some note. Like he's someone that is like in the zeitgeist of Boston. I understand.
He gets on the news for being like man on the street,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I'm aware of him. Yeah, he's the man on the street duck boat guy. Yeah, he's fun.
But he's not always identified as someone like he just happens on cameras. And
he has a unique talent for getting himself on camera. Yes.
So yesterday, very hot day, and where do you send the news crew on a hot day if you're downtown and there's a bunch of kids splashing around?
Oh, you send them to Methadone Mile.
No, you send them to the Frog Pond.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Is that sad?
It's on the
That's
common.
sad. That's kind of sad. You don't know from the Frog Pond?
Is that where the swan boats are?
No, different place. That's on the other side of the street, Charles Street.
Well, it's near it.
It is. It's near it.
I just want them to start building on that thing. I put up housing.
On the Frog Pond?
Get rid of the...
You heartless slug.
No.
That's right.
What's wrong with you?
That's right. That's how we'll knock down this debt. Go ahead.
So Michael Bryan, just, man on the street, enjoying a splash day on a hot day at the Frog Pond, and says, sent me this.
Just trying to cool off. Excited about the summer. I was excited about a week ago. They're power washing this thing clean. I stood out here for hours watching them, asked if they needed help, but they did it. Now it's all, we're ready to cool off, stick our feet in.
So he sent that to me. He said, Hardy, this was for you. Asked them if they needed. So watched them, but told them I watched them power wash and asked them if they needed help.
And you heard what he slid in at the end, too.
Let's hear
put his feet in.
Yeah.
Just trying to cool off. Excited about the summer. I was excited about a week ago. They're power washing this thing clean. I stood out here for hours watching them, asked if they needed help, but they did it. Now it's all, we're ready to cool off, stick our feet in.
Yeah, you got 2 in there.
Sure.
Co-signed. Good for him.
They just cut away from it. It's like, yeah, here's a guy who was offering to help them power wash the Frog Pond. No, he wasn't. He was doing that for us.
Yeah. These are the same people that that Zendaya, is that the celebrity's name?
Zendaya. Yeah.
Zendaya. Apparently she was in they were doing some man on the street thing, and she was just walking around with whoever her boyfriend is, some other famous guy, and they just completely ignored him. They were doing a man on the street thing, and 2 super famous people were walking around, and they ignored him. Not yesterday, but in the recent past. All I'm saying is they don't put a lot of effort into the man on the street things.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
Yeah, that didn't really fit what. Excuse my tangent.
Who was was it Jerome McGinley who got interviewed as the man on the street during a snowstorm?
Which is kind of inexcusable, because when my son played Williamsport baseball, we played against Brookline, and there was a guy coaching third base, and I'm like, who is this dad? Like, who is this monster of a man? It was like a dad, like a real big guy that, not like the other dads. And I actually made a comment to someone, and they said, that's Jerome McGinley. So he was someone who stood out due to his body mass. He was a put together fella. I could see not recognizing a Torrey Krug.
Right.
But Ginlin stood out in a crowd.
How long ago was this that you saw Ginlin coaching third?
5 years ago.
Okay, that was probably his son, Tig, who was on that team. And he just got drafted in the first round last year by Utah.
Oh,
for
Tig
hockey.
Ginlin, yeah.
Yeah, and Matsuaka's kid was on that team, too. Hideki Matsuyama, the kid, the whirly ball pitcher. What's his name?
The gyro ball.
The gyro ball guy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, see? Not so easy, is it?
No, it's
you prick?
not. God
Daisuke
damn it.
Matsuzaka.
Daisuke's kid was on that team, too. Brookline had Daisuke and McGinley's kid on it. And they beat my son's team.
Got so bored waiting for him to finish his out. Every time I went,
every time
2 hours, he'd be in the fifth inning.
That was the thing with the Red Sox is you'd get excited that you got a ticket to a game, then you'd go and it would be
Matsuzaka,
Daisuke, and you'd be like, pack a lunch because there was no pitching. They made a pitching clock precisely because of him.
Because of Daisuke.
Him and Kimbrel.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm staring you down.
The Papelbon wasn't much
The
better.
Papelbon was maybe worse.
Who did Papelbon fight in the dugout? It wasn't when he was with the Red Sox.
Bryce Harper in Philadelphia.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Good job by him. Do we know why they fought?
I don't.
Because they really fought. Like, it's not like when Longoria got into it with Upton and they just kind of got face to face.
No, Papelbon went right after.
Yeah, Papelbon and Harper like fought.
Yeah, in the dugout.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, Scott.
You love when I am out ill. You love it. I've stopped teasing you for
You've been
yours.
on a roll. You shaved your beard. You trimmed your beard up. You look good.
Yeah, I look good.
You do look
I look
good.
phenomenal.
That's a good rest yesterday. That's great. Oh.
You're fat. I stopped bothering you. I haven't messed with you about that for years.
The climber's gone. It's
Look,
not here
I
anymore.
look between rehabs and detoxes in my throat. Look, you win. I lose.
The story this morning at the beginning of the show about your dad, like, oh yeah, it should be okay going west.
He just has. He has to have an opinion on every. Nothing can just sit. He needs. You know what he needs is people around him. He needs to talk to people because his need to interject. He's like, I think I've learned it from him. I have to really go to a therapist. All right.
Don't you already go?
No, it's too expensive. I had to pay for the school that my son goes to. I don't have any money to go to a therapist. I'm divorced, sending my kid to Lawrence Academy. You think I got money to go to a therapist? Plus, I dress in this way. You think this is cheap? And beard trimmers and everything else?
Yeah.
Plus, I'm getting all that liposuction. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone have a great day. Bye.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.